Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Don't be afraid. That's not a woman. That's a man that should have a beard. It's okay. But nevertheless,
Mm,
very happy to have you all here. Hopefully, everyone had themselves a great weekend. Mine was pretty quiet. Of course, I only get a day on my weekend. I work 6 days a week. Yeah. Welcome to Asia. hmm Uh, but
mm.
uh, but that's the world I live in, so it's okay. It's not I'm normal. I'm not strange. But hopefully you guys had some rest and relaxation. Today we're gonna things are freaking heating up there, Thundero.
Get a little spicy out here,
A
and I'm
touch, a touch.
a happy boy.
Yeah.
Happy boy over here.
Well, I'm gonna need some education because I'm not
Yeah.
in the country, so you're gonna have to help me out today. I will direct your education though.
Oh no.
So, so just to make sure you stay on topic. But yeah,
Me never.
well, there's some things going on, and I need to understand it because one of the things of with me being outside the country, I can see the news and stuff, but I'm not on the ground, right?
Mm,
So I don't know what it feels like. There's a lot of things I hear you guys say that just seem nonsensical to me,
hmm
but then again I'm not there. And when I was there, we had chicks that had the peni. We had that. It
Yeah.
wasn't and no one cared. And your friends were there to watch out for you when you got too drunk and didn't notice.
Yeah.
So
They made.
that's not new to me, but all of a sudden now they're like noisy. I remember when they were just like people trying to be women, and everyone was like, you know, gambate, good luck to you, you know. But these days they're like screaming and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm not on the ground. I don't know how it feels. Do you run into them daily? There sounds like half the country is gay now.
I have seen precisely three in the wild in my lifetime,
Three.
and all of those. I'm trying to think if that's true. It's three or four. It's not much more than that. All of those that I have seen that I can remember, I saw while I was working a counter at my old business. Right, I was working the counter that day, uh, and it was there was this one guy who used to come in on a regular basis. He must have lived in the area, looking for things in a full-on dress and a beard every time. He would come in and it'd either be a blue dress, a red dress, but this guy came in multiple times. There was a couple others that randomly strolled in, and then my wife's cousin, I think he is, I don't know, is as well one of these such and such people. Uh, yeah, it's not it's not like they. It's funny because they'll make these arguments. Lefties will that if you're against this, you were also against black people or something. Like it's the same thing, and
Huh.
that's just preposterous. For one, there's a lot more black people. A lot.
Yeah, well,
Quite a
about
lot.
12%. And there are some black
Yeah.
people I'm against.
Yeah. Believe it or not. Not all
Mm,
of them are cheery drops as golden sun.
no.
Some of them are pricks and
Yeah.
should be treated as such.
Mm, mm. So that means that I've seen more than you have back in the 80s. Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
I remember, well, this was in the early 90s, but I worked at I used to be a bouncer. And I worked in many a strip clubs as I was moving up and down the East Coast trying to make a living as a musician. And I worked at one place. It was a dive. It was a dive. They had one pretty stripper and think she had 4 kids. But
Yeah.
Thursdays was gay boy night. They called it Jonathan. I don't know what that meant. I tried not to ask. It was Jonathan night. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell me. Anyway,
I
uh, but there were two of them. Of course, we didn't use that word back then. They called themselves transvestites back then, right?
yes.
And
That's correct.
one of them, I think he liked me. But boy, he gave the best frickin' shoulder massages ever, though.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, I liked those dudes. They were cool. They were fun.
They weren't weirdos. Yeah, they
Well, they
weren't
were
weirdos.
gay and liked to wear dresses, but other than that, they were
Yeah.
fun.
Listen, I say it all the time. You can be whatever you want. Just don't be weird. Don't
Yeah.
be weird about
Don't
it.
be a
Like if you
troublemaker.
want to walk around in a dress and call yourself Sally when you're
Mm.
clearly a Scot,
Hmm.
whatever. Hi Sally. I don't. What do I care? I'm not going to call you a woman, no matter how much you try and pressure me into
They
it,
never asked that.
unless well, they didn't used to back then because they were, far more rational. Um, unless you go all the way, and I mean all the way, you get the Adam's apple shaved off, you get the
They
bits,
do.
the
Some do.
sticking
Yeah.
bits taken off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get this whole, you get the whole, you get. They even have finger surgeries to make your fingers look more feminine.
Wow.
You do all that, I'll call
Yeah.
you a woman
Oh
because I'm
yeah.
like, you mean it.
I'm
You're
down with
committed.
that. Yeah, I'm down with that. The
You're
people
in.
who, I mean, you got to respect the effort and the pain that some of them go
Yeah,
through. And if you're going to go through all that, shit, yeah, no problem, man.
yeah,
I'm good, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but if you just literally grow your hair long, dye it pink, and throw on a
yeah.
dress, with
No,
stubble,
no,
yeah, no,
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 no, that's
yeah,
cross dressing, and that's fine. Be a
yeah,
cross dresser. It's weird,
yeah.
but go ahead.
No, I mean,
Rock out.
one of my wife and I's favorite movie of all time is The Birdcage. It's all
Yeah,
about
it's a good movie.
transvestite drag show thing. It's awesome
I
to me.
mean, probably of the night. This might be a controversial take here, but of the '90s, one of the at least one of, if not the best family films is Mrs. Doubtfire,
Oh yeah,
and it's about him dressing in drag to get back with his kids. But it's a phenomenal movie because
it
Robin
is.
Williams, was and
Well, it's
is
frickin' Robin
forever
Williams,
the
dude.
goat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Alan says OJ didn't do it.
OJ didn't do it. Is
I don't know
that what I
why.
just
It just
heard?
came out of nowhere. You know.
Pretty sure OJ did
Um, pretty sure.
it.
But
Pretty sure he did that.
back when I was a kid in the '80s, OJ was the schnizzle, though. Not only was he an amazing running back, he also was a fun actor. Go figure. Some people transition that line really well, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Robin was always one of those guys who I actually think he was better in serious roles than in comedy roles
Oh, he
because
was
his
straight
comedy
up
was
amazing.
very
Yeah.
schizophrenic, and like even his stand up, it was funny, but it was very schizophrenic. Like he
Oh
was
yeah.
all over the
Well, I
place,
think he was
and
schizophrenic. Yeah.
yes. But his acting, when he would get in a serious role, I don't think I can name you a movie where he was playing a serious character that was bad. That was a bad
No,
movie.
no, he's straight up. But his best
Yeah.
movie of all time was Aladdin.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it
I
just,
wholeheartedly
god
agree.
damn, he owned that
Wholeheartedly
dude.
agree.
But
That
it was
I say it all the
impressive.
time. I say it all the time, and I don't just do it to dunk on Disney. I mean it. Aladdin is the only actually great Disney movie ever made. That's the
Aladdin's a
only
really
one.
good movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Alan is continuing with his random comments. He said, I got a great message from a gay guy. I walk faster now. Fair enough. He also says that TS guys, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but we're talking about transvestites, so maybe he meant TV. Okay, TS guys got the same problem as a woman age. After a while, they all look like Greg from Greg the Hammer Valentine. That's true. That is true. Does anyone remember the movie Julie Newmar, Tu Wang Fu? Roger says, yes, I do. My wife loves that, and she only calls him Chi Chi now. Um, I thought it was a boring movie. Maple Chic, the best heel turn of all time history.
Yeah.
I thought you were going from bring up. I thought you were going to bring up the Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Thundera Lau. Um, yeah, and I did watch a movie. My wife watched it. Oh, Alan says TS means transsexual. I thought they
Ah,
were transgenders.
listen, they don't know. That's the whole problem. Is they don't know.
Huh.
That's like the point, ain't it? They don't know.
I
Um,
guess.
no, it's one of those things that the lefties do. They change the terminology around every 10 years or so, just so they can call you a bigot.
Well, you
Let's
would
be.
think they
It's just a
wouldn't
power move.
use this one because they've made it very, they've chosen that gender is the thing that they can adjust and sex is the permanent DNA thing. They made that choice, right? They've been pushing that for years and years
Well,
now.
now they've gone
So
even
you can't
farther.
say
They've now they
transsexual. That would be outside of their
well, that'd be a
book.
hermaphrodite. Um, Now they say biological sex isn't even real, Chester.
Huh?
That's where they're at now. Yeah, yeah. We've just decided to take biology, put that in the bin.
Have we
That's
not
done.
studied DNA? I mean, that's
I
weird.
mean, it's one of those things that's so obviously ridiculously stupid that to say it out loud should get you beat in public because
Yeah,
it's
it
just
is
stupid.
dumb.
It's the
But
dumbest thing. What?
a trans
Obviously, by what?
a
They literally will
trans
say it.
a transsexual can't be hermaphrodite. That doesn't make any sense. Hermaphrodite is a
Yeah,
hermaphrodite, and they do exist.
yeah.
There's like one in, I don't know,
No,
500 million or something. Um,
come on, boy. My wife left my dog in here, and he's being a menace. Go on, boy.
Stop menacing, dog. But
He's a good
nevertheless,
boy. He just
what
likes food.
we're here to talk about the things today. But
Things, all of them.
Yeah, no, it is kind of sad though, because when I was growing up, in general, it was happy times. There's
Mm.
always some nonsense here or there, of course, but things were happy. These days, no one wants to be happy, dude. It's really just kind of, trouble everywhere. We got the farmers all across Europe in absolute uproar and destroying cities, which, they're right. hmm
Hmm.
and we got all kind of trouble. Asia is fairly happy, but China's tanking hard, dude. Dude,
Good.
no,
That's
no,
good.
it's hardcore. I mean, their
That's
economy
good.
is just absolutely cratered and bottomed out, like
Well,
I
it
said
wasn't
it
real
would.
anyway.
No, I
It was
said it
never.
was going to
It
do
was
that.
all BS anyway.
Yeah. So,
Most of the American economy is BS too. We're about 6 months or so out from tanking ourselves. The foreclosures and things are already they just started happening in big
sure.
numbers this month. So we got a little bit, but we're getting there. Don't worry. We'll catch right up. We'll
Yeah.
catch right
Well,
up. We'll be number one at the bottom too. It's fine.
and interesting things are happening because, of course, in China, since the people are very upset, the Chinese government has gotten just more and more tyrannical to try to control it. I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, it seems like the only real solution is just full on revolution for the Chinese, which they did once and kind of screwed it up. Well, extremely screwed it up. But yeah, the world is pretty hot, and I keep listening to these people that are often talking to people on the Daily Wire that say, "Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better." It's like, is it going to get worse than this?
Yeah.
I suppose it could. Damn.
Uh, like I said last week, Chester, it's interesting watching the federal government bulk, but that's actually a very good thing. But two, nobody wants the next step from a. By the way, you notice what word hasn't been thrown around by the establishment? The word where it would actually make sense, where it actually fits this time,
Prosperity.
insurrection,
Oh,
because that's what's happening. The governor of Texas and other governors in the country, about 26 of them, I believe, was the number I checked, uh, have told the Supreme Court that you're wrong. Period. Done. That's insurrection. That's what that
well,
is.
let's be
Now,
fair. The Supreme Court basically said nothing. They
they
didn't
still
say
told
they didn't
them
say they
they're
said
not going to
yes.
abide by it.
Well, the federal government said they said the federal government can do what they're mandated to do, and so can Texas, is what they
Yeah.
said. Which is basically a big,
Regardless,
gigantic nothing burger. But yeah,
regardless,
we are on the same wavelength, sir. Because
yeah.
yeah,
Uh-oh, what's he got? Hang on, I
I
got to look at it.
yeah, I wanted to ask these questions. So go ahead, continue. It's 25, by the way.
Regardless, 25, 26, same difference really
Well,
at that
counting
point.
Texas would be 26.
Yes. Regardless, though, whether or not the Supreme Court made a final ruling, which I know they haven't because the actual case hasn't even gotten to them yet. It was just a preliminary situation. Uh, Regardless, the lieutenant governor of Texas has said today that no one's gonna. He basically said they don't want to do that because somebody asked him if the federal government what do you do if the federal government sends in troops or whatever to retake control of the border?
Mm.
And he said something to the effect of, I don't know why they would want to put these fine young men and women's lives in danger, basically.
Yeah.
Uh, this is what an actual, at least governmental insurrection looks like, not a populist insurrection. This is
Well,
what it would look like. This is a real insurrection brewing, and that's a good thing. By the way, I'm not against insurrection. If the government's wrong, it needs to be insurrected on. Uh, if it's if it's to the point where it is where you have a government that's clearly not only complicit but actually facilitating a law breaking of the highest order, where millions, I think the number's around 12 million people have come into the country in 3 years.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's more than most states, by the way. That's more than live in most states.
Yeah.
That's literally a replacing of the native
Well,
population.
they're
You can call it what you
trying
want.
they're trying to turn Texas blue. That's what they're trying to
Yeah.
do because Texas is a big pain in their ass, and they want to deal with it. And that's their because they're dumb. They have no brain in their head. All they care about is their pocket and their power, and they don't care about humans at all. At all. And of course, one of the questions I have as we get into this today is, I see these things, these news reporters down the border, unlike our politicians, and talking to these people and look at these people. And most of the people I saw were either from the Middle East or Africa. They weren't
Yeah.
Mesoamericans or South Americans.
That's right.
So,
That's
how did they get there?
right. NGOs are what they're called, non-government organizations that are allegedly non-profit organizations who have all sorts of dark funding from different philanthropy groups, quote unquote, the
Oh,
banksters. Let's just call it what it is.
yeah.
Who are funneling them to these countries. They're doing it all throughout Europe. They're doing it all throughout America now, and for the purpose of exactly what I said. You can call it a conspiracy theory. I don't give a shit. 12 million people in 3 years. That's more than my state that I live in now, and we're one of the largest states in the country. So that's a problem, and that's intentional. That wasn't an accident. This idea that they couldn't do anything is retarded and ridiculous.
Of course,
Every serious
Trump got
country
it
in the
handled
world
pretty well, pretty
that
quickly.
exactly every serious country in the world that has even the chance of something like this handles it, and
Yeah.
handles it very,
Well,
very fiercely. It's not none of this bullshit hand holding. Oh well, if they just say they're seeking asylum, we live. No, fuck off. I don't care why you're coming. Go back. Go home. I don't give a shit how bad your country is. Go home and fix it. Period. It's not my problem. It's not. It's
and
not the problem of the people who are coming after me, who were born here, who are ancestors. It's not the problem of any of that.
right. Well, another thing that I've noticed about this conversation, of course, the media is, doing their thing as usual. But the thing that's interesting about this is no one's talking about legal immigration.
Yeah,
I mean, no one has
I
a
will.
problem with that. I mean,
I do. Stop that
we
too.
well,
Whole
I mean, we
moratorium. No one.
we
No one
could
in. No
we've
one needs
done
to
it
come in.
before, but
Yeah,
that's not the issue. We're talking about people that are just simply, rushing across the border illegally, and it's like, well, why aren't they just going through the system? Why are they coming in illegally?
because
Because
they are.
that's another question though, because they could do it legally and the same result would happen.
The truth of the
Thus,
matter is, Chester, a system is what it does. These people are coming here and they're not being removed. Therefore, whether it's on the books or not, they're doing it legally. We
yeah,
can get
no, I
into the
know.
logistics of the
That's my point.
semantics, but the fact that they're not being removed means that they're not breaking the law, because if they were breaking the law, they'd be removed. Now, I get that the letter of the law says otherwise, but the letter of the law is just words on paper. It doesn't mean anything if we don't enforce it. There's tons
No.
of laws in America that exist that nobody ever enforces because they're stupid. And they don't even bother to repeal them because they're stupid.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter what it says in the ledger. It matters what you enforce. And the
Yeah, no,
fact that the
I
government
understand that.
is allowing these people in, people can argue it till they're blue in the face whether they're allowing them or not. It's largely irrelevant whether it's incompetence or malice. It's happening,
It is happening.
and it has to stop. And everybody who's come in has to go home. I don't give a shit what their reason for being here is. That isn't our problem. We'll send you. Well, what we'll do is we'll do exactly what Trump did. We'll get these. We'll work with Mexico, get places set up in Mexico. That because I know like that part between, there's big swaths between the American and Mexican borders. Like there's towns along the border, but then there's big gaps
Right.
in between. I've been there. I know this for a fact. We could easily put camps there. They don't have to be in our country, and we can process the
Well,
people who are supposed to be here and who aren't. If you're an actual refugee and you have actual issues or whatever, we can sort that out, and maybe we'll let you stay. But none of this
well,
fucking guaranteed rubber stamp carte blanche. All you got to do is say the magic words and you're in, like it's a fucking door in Aladdin.
right,
Speaking of Aladdin,
but they are breaking international law because
yeah,
international law states that you have to stop in the first safe country you come to,
correct,
right?
correct.
So, and that's not America. But
No,
let's take a look at this map for a second. Now, these 25 governors here all signed a paper, and they're all sending resources to Texas, which is pretty interesting, right? That they're not just giving, they're not just slapping their gums. They're actually doing something, which is
yeah.
pretty interesting. But I was looking at this map. What other states you think might join in with this?
Um, well, it's strange to me because it's pretty much divided right by ideological political lines. Because obviously, no Democrat's going to move against Biden in an open manner because it's an election year for one, and for two, the Democrats seem to have this hive mind that is shocking to me to watch function.
Right.
Um, so I don't think any other state will.
You don't?
I just
Like
don't. I don't see it
Kansas or
unless
Kentucky or North
unless
Carolina?
they're both got they all got Democrat governors. Unless the people throw out their governors and then force the issue that way.
Mhm.
You know, like in Ohio just recently, our governor, who apparently is on board with this, but is a complete piece of shit human, Mike DeWine, a Republican in name only, vetoed a bill that would have banned men from competing in female sports and would have banned gender reassignment surgeries for children. Right, so that would have been outlawed in Ohio. You're not doing that anymore. At least that's what it says on paper. I'm sure there's legalities to it, but you know what I
Of
mean. In
course, yeah.
spirit, that's what it was about. He vetoed that. Well, the House and the Senate said, "Well, fuck your veto," and overrode him, which is exactly what should happen when the people's House says we're going to do this in
Yeah.
large numbers
That's why we have
and
that
done.
system. Yeah.
My point is that can happen as a governor being in power as well. They can be removed from every state in the union for, there's a system in every state in the
Or
union
just
to
outvoted.
remove a governor. Yeah,
Yeah.
just kick them out, or yeah, or
Well,
just outvote if they kick them out and move on. The fact that Kentucky has a Democrat governor, and the only reason that usually happens is because the Democrats run these amazing propaganda campaigns where they pretend like they're not really far
right.
left psychopaths. Uh, and then they get in and they do far left psychopath shit. Like it happens all the time.
Right.
And the right does it too with other things. They pretend they're more moderate and they get in and do more conservative things. Uh, my point is, it might be Kentucky or Kansas very well could, but I don't think you're going to see too much alteration. Here was my suggestion to Biden, pretty much from Jump Street. Just let Texas have this W. Just let them have it. It wouldn't hurt you to just concede this to Texas and let them handle the border,
Hmm.
and then just do everything you're doing in New Mexico and Arizona
Right.
because they're perfectly fine with it. Their borders get tons of people in anyway. I'm not saying I want him to do that, but that's what he should do if the people running him are intelligent.
Well, they're
But they're not.
idiots. They're
They're
idiots. But
idiots.
the reason I ask this is because if you look at this map, there's 26 states here that are involved, the 25 supporting Texas,
Yep.
right? In America, when it comes to states, we have a magic number, and that is
Yes.
30,
Yep.
right? You need, anytime you want to ratify anything, you need 30 states. Like, for
I think
instance,
it's 37.
no, I think it's 30. But I could be wrong. Someone in the chat will correct me. But let's go with mine because it's closer.
Okay.
Like, for instance, the IRS was never ratified, right?
Correct.
It was never
They could
ratified.
be wiped out with a strike of a pen.
Yeah, and I don't know why it isn't. Because, when we get into, just a quick thing on taxes, um, because we're not here to talk about that, but it is relevant. We now in the world, in the past 100+ years, which we didn't have before, right? We have income tax. So they tax your income, okay? And then when you spend your money, they tax you. If you
That's right.
buy
Yep,
anything that of any value whatsoever, they tax it annually. That's
that's
convenient.
correct. Yep.
And
Mhm.
then, when you die, they tax you again. So
And it
the
gets
money
worse than
that you
that.
earn is taxed a minimum of 4 times, and that's not taking into account all the little taxes like on gas, tobaccos,
Yes.
alcohols, and all the other little things in
And
your life.
when you buy something
Same
from
money.
somebody, a good or service, whatever, that money then gets put into their system for them to pay their employees, which guess what, Chester? Gets taxed again. It's all the
Taxed again.
same money. No magic money just appeared to get taxed new. No,
Right.
no, no, no. It's all the same money,
Yeah.
same transactional money, keeps getting taxed all the way down.
Over and over and
Yeah,
over
it's
again at
it's a
ridiculous
problem.
rates. And keep in
Yeah,
mind, if any leader in the past tried to raise any tax above 10%, they would literally find their head on a post.
yes, as
And
they should.
and what are you paying now?
Oh god, who even knows? I think it. I think last when you actually factor in how many times an individual dollar gets taxed, I think it's like 70 cents on every dollar.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty sure.
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, me personally, I have no trouble with there being a sales tax, and I also have no trouble with there being a corporate tax because they are separate issues. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm not here to talk about taxes, but it is a radically serious issue that needs to be dealt with. And
I think
besides,
you're
there's a
fine with a Sorry, I just took a bite of steak. I think you're fine with an actual income tax. See, here's what they've done. They did their word trickery again. Before 1913, income meant extra money you get from investments, from interest on an investment, things like this. Stuff you
right.
didn't actually have to work for that just comes back to you la di da different ways. That's what income is supposed to be. They changed it to mean wages. Because you
Yeah.
see, it used to be illegal in America to tax someone's wages because you know what that is? That's called slavery.
It
That's what that
is,
is.
but I don't agree with that. I only agree with sales tax. So anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this issue. So now I noticed, once again, I'm not there, so I don't know what the feeling is. But we got this situation with Texas, which is certainly heating up because the Texans are not backing down, and we know how stubborn they are. And Biden's administration doesn't seem to be wanting to back down. So I don't know so you gotta have to kind of enlighten me on what
Well,
the real fire is. Let me just drop a couple things though. But also, we have this going on. A bunch of truckers from all over America are heading down to help Texas, and they're convoying today, I guess, or tomorrow. When is the
mhm,
29th? I guess that's tomorrow for you guys.
Monday, yeah.
So you got like who knows how many thousands of truckers moving. That's a thing. And then of course we have all of this, political. I wouldn't call it savvy, but political and being politicalness going on about that. Texas is evil. They're seceding, doing the same thing Confederates did. Border walls are now bad for the environment.
Yeah.
I've been told. So yeah, kind of, dude, fill me in. What is the feel on the ground? What's really going on?
Um, well, let's start back at the beginning where you said the two aren't don't seem to be budging. I think one we're seeing a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's videos coming out that the border's still wide open even in Texas in certain parts that they easily could close. So it looks like we're seeing a little bit of politicking obviously, right? But that might just be at the top level because it seems like at the middle, where politics actually matter in the upper middle isn't a game. They're serious about this. So you said Joe Biden and Texas neither are backing down. So far, I
Yes.
haven't seen Texas back down. I don't know if that's going to change. Joe Biden has. He
Okay.
has said that he would. There's this legislation, which of course it's a complete fuck show. But there's this legislation going through uh, the Congress right now, and he said he'll sign it and use it. That gives him, for some reason, they've decided that the president needs more power over the border, even though he already has absolute authority over the border.
Already.
Uh, so I'm not really sure why he needs more, but okay. I don't know what's more than absolute, but I guess super duper absolute. That's what they're
Well,
going to give
I
him.
don't know if I'd use the constitutionally. I don't know if I'd use the word authority as to more responsibility.
Yes.
I think
But
that would be the
regardless,
constitutional word.
well, they're going to give him more powers, it says. They're going to basically, the idea is they're going to give the president more powers to when after X amount, which I think the number is 4 or 5 thousand encounters in a day, the president can basically shut the border down effectively. Just
He
shut it down.
won't.
Period. No one in or out. Blah 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 blah. He claims that he will. He claims he'll sign this and that he will. Now, even if he won't, saying that publicly in an election year when Texas is demanding you do something is a
Mhm.
concession. In the
It
grand
is.
game of politics, you just conceded to the person who demanded you concede. Now, the concession is nonsense. It's not going to do anything. In fact, it's probably going to make the problem worse in very many ways because it doesn't say a damn thing about getting rid of the 12 million who came in for one, and for two, it's nowhere near enough. It's just not. We need a full immigration moratorium, except for the absolute elite of the elite of people that we know we want here. Other than that, we don't need more cheap labor. We just don't. Let's call it what it is. We don't. We already have like I think right now there's millions of jobs allegedly open in America. I don't buy that, but allegedly there is. So people say we have a labor shortage. See, we need more people. No, we need less cheap jobs. That's what we need. There are plenty of Americans. Myself, I'm not technically employed. I work for myself. Who don't work for other people anymore, and they haven't really since COVID because they figured out that these jobs are bullshit and they don't want to work them. So they found ways to make their own money, like I did. Um, that's the real problem with all of this. Is it's a whole bunch of lies and misconceptions wrapped up in a riddle. But anyway, Texas has said they want X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
Biden has basically pretended like he can't do anything, which is completely nonsensical. Because if you remember when Trump was president, there was this big hullabaloo about his quote Muslim ban. Remember the Muslim ban and all the court cases and everything that he
Well,
eventually won with the
it
Supreme
wasn't a
Court saying
Muslim
yes,
ban. It was specific countries, but okay.
with the I had air quotes
Oh, I see.
with the Supreme Court literally saying that yes, the president can decide what countries are allowed to have people come in, and the president basically has full control over who comes in and out of the border. That's
Yeah, the
basically what the
border.
Supreme
Yeah,
Court said.
it's the
Yeah.
Constitution,
Um,
dude. It's what it says.
yes. Which obviously he does. He's the chief executive. That's kind of one of his only jobs in the Constitution is to maintain the border. Uh, so my point is, this has already been settled. That we don't need new laws. Biden today, right this second, in fact, could sign an order and say the border is closed. No one is allowed through under any
Yeah.
circumstances until we sort it out.
Well, we need
For
a
I don't know, however long
moratorium
it needs.
we
Yeah,
need a moratorium too, and we've done
yeah,
this in the past, by the way. Um,
yes. When we had surges, we said, okay, that's enough. Sorted them out, and then
yeah,
went from there.
opening it back up.
There's no reason we shouldn't do that now.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you talk to the average American and said, do you have a problem with immigrants coming to America? I think you would be hard pressed finding one who had a problem with it because we are a nation of immigrants. We
Eh,
all come from,
I
but I mean,
disagree, but go ahead.
well, moratorium aside, right? I'm not saying
Hmm.
we can't take pauses. We should occasionally. It's good for us to do that. But in the big meta of it, America taking immigrants is not a bad idea, unless we get to a point where we decide that we're not that country anymore, which we could,
We're not. We're
right?
not. We haven't been
Um,
for 100 years.
but then again, even though my family is certainly an immigrant family, I'm not an immigrant. I'm a Native American,
Exactly. Exactly.
and
My
and have been for 400 years.
yeah, exactly. At what point are you no longer an immigrant? Like by that metric, every country's an immigrant country. All of them, China, Egypt, everywhere. Because those people didn't just sprout up in those lands; they moved there and
And
then
they
changed
murdered
and
and
things happened.
raped out the
Yeah,
population, which we
as
didn't
as
do.
we do,
We didn't
as
do
we do.
that. The
Well, that's
Spanish
true.
did that, but we didn't do that.
Spanish did a lot of that. They were real rapey. I mean,
Well,
they
no, I
created
mean,
Hispanics with the
no,
rape.
no, that's
Yeah.
because they picked it up from the Muslims. The Muslims taught them
Yes.
that when they controlled Spain. Because you look any
Yeah.
place that the Muslim or Muslim affected, like the Spanish, go, that's what they do. They rape out the population. That's their
Yes.
policy. That's their method, right? And I
But
and
I
this
would
I seriously
argue.
doubt that they're first in history to do that. But if you look at me, I'm a perfect example, though, Thundero. Perfect,
Yeah.
because I'm literally a Mayflower, literally, right?
Yeah.
And my dad's family came a little bit later, like in 1657. but that's still pretty early. So in that entire time, I have not a single drop of Indian blood in me. Not a single
Yep.
drop. I am full on my mom's side. They're all freaking Celts, they're
Deep
Gales,
racism.
and I'm my dad's family are Norwegian. No, I'm just saying. But that
No, I'm
shows
just
you the
teasing.
different mentality, right? Meaning
Yes.
they got along with the natives without, taking their women or doing any of that bullshit,
Yep.
right?
It's true.
Now
Um.
I on the other hand, I took someone's women. I did that.
Yes. Yeah, you did. You
I
are in
did.
fact a colonizer.
I'm a colonizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Um. But no, my point is the reason why I don't like the term is because the left uses that term to open the floodgates and say, "Well, see, we're a nation of immigrants, so we can't keep anybody out." That's retarded. That
no,
what?
we could
That's
change our
retard
policy.
logic.
We could change that.
And I don't think we are anymore. There was a time where that might have been true, where we were very much, we had a huge immigrant populations that we needed to have for various reasons. We don't anymore. There's 350 million people in America.
It's true.
I think we're full. I think we got
Agreed.
enough. Unless we want to and we want to fill every section, every state, just fill it up. Just no more national
Oh,
parks. Just people,
they're gonna take
people
Teddy's
everywhere. Like
parks away. Oh,
yep, people everywhere. Like it's Star Wars. We're on what's the Coruscant? We're just
Coruscant.
going to
Yeah.
Coruscant America and just get rid of all the no, I don't want that either. My point is the vast majority of this country. You know how the media likes to pretend like immigrants built this country. Blah blah blah. That's all bullshit. Just like they say slavery built this country. All bullshit. What built this country is hardworking men who were born here. That's what built this country.
Sure.
Not unions, not slaves, not immigrants. Some of them were those things, sure. But the vast majority of them were not those things. They were
Well,
family men who built things for their families to
right.
inherit, and it just kept going and kept growing and kept growing and kept growing.
Well,
This idea that it was anything other than natives that did this, and by natives I mean people who were born here, people whose many cases fathers were born here, they were as native as anybody else, they're the ones who built this country.
right.
That's who did it.
Well, usually it works like this. Like the Hoover Dam is a good example, right?
Hmm.
Before that, you had a huge German migration, a generation before. And then, that generation that, born and raised American, a lot of
Yep.
them, they're the ones that were involved in the building the Hoover Dam, right? And we have many
Hmm.
examples. We get immigration pushes, and then the generation after, or even some of the generation that came in, are involved in big movements or big projects. And the
Correct.
reason for that is and why is that different than now? Well, the difference is those people came to America looking for a better life and they became American, proud to be American. What we're
They
seeing now,
assimilated.
these people don't give a shit about America. They come into
Correct.
America, a big chunk of their wages they send back home. They don't keep in the states. They have no love for America. They badmouth us constantly. Just with the Latino types, go listen to go check on YouTube and just put in La Raza. Just put it
Yep.
in and go watch it. And you'll see
Yep.
how much those Mexicans love you
I said
because
this
they
earlier.
literally want to murder you out and take your country.
I said this earlier this week when this started kicking off because as much as I firmly believe we're heading for a massive separation, whether that's violent or not, we'll see. Probably we'll have some violence involved. I firmly believe that. For a lot of the reasons you just said, we have too
Mhm.
many people here who absolutely hate this place. They hate it.
Well,
They
we got
despise it.
water access. If you look at this map,
Yet that map would be. I think somebody did the numbers. That would be like the fourth or fifth most powerful country in the world. Oh, just
well,
automatically. If
just
that
keep
was
in
boom,
mind
boom,
that
bam.
Texas by itself is like the fifth strongest economy on Earth.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and it's also cuts right through the middle of the most important soil on the planet, and it has the most of the Mississippi River Valley in it, which is the most important riverway in
right.
the whole
And
world.
Kansas
So,
would fall over, and Kentucky as well. And Colorado
yeah,
is starting to get a little miffed. They thought they were all happy with their Democratic pot smokers, but I'm seeing a lot of
uh
unrest in
huh.
Colorado, dude.
My point is, I said this, and I actually mean it, and I think we've already seen it. We're just starting to feel the ripples of the original quake. The American empire, because that's what it is. If the states aren't allowed to leave, which is what lefties keep saying, then it's not a federation. That's not a union. That's an empire. That's what that is. Call it what it is. So the American Empire, or the global American Empire, as some people call it, that's done. That will fall this decade. It pretty much already has. I mean, we're getting our ass kicked by a bunch of quote rebels in the over there outside of Yemen, to the point where other countries don't even think we can get the job done, so they're backing out of this coalition that we tried to form. Like, it's done. It's over. China's doing whatever the hell they want in their seas. Because
Oh,
we can't stop them.
you know
Uh,
right well the American government could deal with that Houthi problem instantly if they wanted to.
I don't know if they could, bro.
No, if
I
they
really don't think
wanted
they could.
to. Yeah, they
I
just
think
don't
you
want
think
to.
America is the America of 20 years ago. That America is over. We're $34 trillion in debt. We can't even fix our own roads. Like, I don't think you realize how bad it is here. We're
Yeah, well,
almost a third
that's
world
true.
country in most of our cities. I would say the major cities have areas that are worse than third world countries. You can look at these cities in third world countries, and they look better than the cities that we're in now. And I don't mean like just dirty. Like, America's always been kind of dirty. We're a dirty place. No, they're falling apart. They're just straight falling apart. Like, the buildings are falling apart, the roads are falling apart, the people are literally falling over in the street high on fentanyl or whatever else they're on. Like, it's a whole problem. The American empire will fall this decade. I'm telling you. Whether or not it's this, like an actual separation and dissolution like the Soviets had, which was by and large peaceful, or it's something else, I don't see us pulling out of this. We're in a tailspin. We have been since 9/11. And, well, actually, the response to 9/11, 9/11 wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But the fact that the entire country all agreed to just sell their liberty away so they could go get them bastards, well, that was it. Once you give it away, it's not coming back. Um, and that's where we're at. And we're going to stay in this tailspin until the dollar collapses under its own weight. The only reason it hasn't happened yet, there's two reasons. One, everybody else's money is also in the shitter because all these governments have been, using credit cards to buy everything. Well, except for a few countries, but by and large, everybody's money's in the shitter. And two, we still do have at least the veneer of an incredibly powerful military. The
Right.
fact of the matter is, for the last 7 years, even when Trump was president, they could not hit recruitment goals in the military. The young white boys want nothing to do with it. Nothing. They're not going, and that is the backbone of the American military, whether anybody likes it or not. It always has been. Them Texas boys and them Alabama and Louisiana boys, them Georgia boys, those who do all our fighting, by and large. Them,
Yeah.
them rednecks from the hills who actually believed in this country. Those are the ones who, for the last decade, have got nothing but shit on by this country. Why the hell? What are they going to go fight for? To be replaced by Mexicans and Latinos? Or to be called racist because they didn't like that a black guy called them an asshole? Or something
Right.
like that. What are they fighting for? There's nothing in this country for any young white kid under the age of 30. Nothing. There's
Yeah,
there's
well,
nothing for you unless you can build it yourself. The system is completely against you.
yeah, no.
100%
You
top down,
you
and they're
push
not even
that
hiding it.
agenda.
They're open about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you push that agenda, this is the outcome. And this is the
Yep.
thing, I've been saying this since the beginning, and I've not had a lot of agreement. But one thing I said, 6 years ago, was
Hmm.
this is intentional. The idea is to break things down, and it's
Yes.
coming from on high. And I think ultimately what it is the European bankers banging against the American bankers, and the American bankers have lost. And the
Yeah.
Europeans are trying to basically dismantle America because it is the noisy one that they don't want to have to deal with in their globalist agenda. Now, of course, Europe
Well.
itself is popping off, but
Yep.
but this is, I think, was the intention, and
Here
letting a bunch
is
of
what I think.
harebrains do what they do was just
Yeah.
simply convenient, right?
Yes. It was a pun, Howell. It was. Tailspin since 9/11. Good job. He caught it. He caught it. Anyway, uh, yes, no, that's exactly what it is. See, here's the thing about people get all in this, they're uppity about these. That's a conspiracy. Guys, you don't need a formal conspiracy when interests align. That was George Carlin, by the way. These people don't have to have like it all written. They have written most of it down, which is scary, but they didn't have to do that. They
Oh
could.
no.
They have this. They have similar interests. These people all share the same. The same country clubs. They share the same networks. They share. They talk to each other. They marry with each other. Like, this is a. It's a cabal. They don't
Yes.
need to have a formal conspiracy. They just have to have interest aligned, and their
Yep.
interest now is to displace and destroy the American middle class. It's not even necessarily America as a whole. They want America to exist because it's a great economic zone for them. They can make a lot of money off of America. They just don't want that middle class. Honestly, it's regardless of race for the most part, but definitely of the white boys. They don't want them having any say or power in or purchase in the world, and definitely not in America, because they know they can manipulate the women. Look at the data; it's
Oh,
right
it's
there in
easy.
front of you. You don't
Yeah,
have to like. It's
that's
so
straight
easy.
up easy. Yeah. And the
And
thing
they
is,
know they can manipulate the brown folk much easier, or at least they thought they could, much easier than they can the white people. At least
right.
that's what the data used to tell them,
And
but that data has been shifted in the last few years.
right. And I know in some
Uh,
of your heads you're thinking, well, these are white dudes in Switzerland that are doing this. Ha ha ha. But they don't
yeah,
consider themselves white because they're
that's right.
Jews.
That's right. They're either the globalist, quote unquote, globalist quote Jews, because they're not really, to be
Well,
honest.
look at Ben
They're the ones who
Shapiro. He
call themselves
bitches
that.
about that. When did we become white? He says, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or it's the people who are allied with them who are from the old aristocracies of Europe who have decided that they want their serfs back. And the only thing that's
Well,
really stopping
there
that from
might be a little bit
happening,
of that. Yeah.
the only thing that's really stopping that from happening is the American middle class. It's not the upper class. People get this wrong too. They think it's the poor or the upper class. No, 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 no. They're so easy to manipulate. It's stupid. Unless you're like rich, rich, the more you have, the heavier your lodestone, and the easier it is to control you. Because
That's
now you have a
true.
lot more to lose.
That's
If you
true.
have absolutely nothing to lose, all they gotta do is throw you some scraps, and you'll fucking kill for it. But when you're right there in the middle, you're comfortable, you're secure, but you're not, you're not way over your skis. You're not in a crazy position. You work hard. You have your house. You have your wife or whatever, your kids. You have your community. You have a pretty good life. When you have all of the things that the commons that our ancestors built left for you and have provided for you, and you want to defend them and be like, no, maybe we should not spend all this extra money we don't have on this stuff we don't need. Because you understand that this is an infinite resource and you want to leave something better for your children or for the people who come after you if you don't have children. You want to do your duty, which you owe to the people who came before you, to at least leave the place as good as you found it, but better would be better. Anyway,
Yeah,
that is
that's
what
my brain.
conservative. That's what.
That's my
Yeah, that's
brain.
what right wing brain is. That's what normal conservative thought is. The idea is to at least do no harm to it. Like when I
Right.
used to run a repair shop, our rule was send it back better than you found it.
Yeah.
It
Like
doesn't
with
matter
my
if it came in
simply like
filthy or whatever. Yeah,
right. Well,
clean it
simple
up,
like my
send it back.
kids, right? I want them to be better than me. I want them to have more
Yes,
success than me. Isn't that normal?
yes, it
And
should be.
it should be. And the thing with it is, you're making it how easy it was to hoodwink the women. Boy, was it,
Yeah.
man! Look how
Oh,
easy women made it for them, and look what they did, and how happily women still march in to, and they
yes.
turned you ladies into a bunch of whores. They
Well,
literally
I want to
turned you
clear it
into
up.
whores, dude.
You said the word there. They didn't get the ladies. The ladies have still got it. The ladies still understand. They're behind their men. They're behind their sons. They're with us, right? We got about 40% of these females that are I consider ladies, and they're respectful.
Oh
They're
yeah, yeah. No,
dignified.
not
They're
all, of
not
course.
whores.
That's true.
But the women as a whole, they absolutely got. They got the majority of them. I just saw a poll today that said that Taylor Swift could probably swing the election if she came out and supported Biden. A legitimate poll by a legitimate polling place that asked enough women just basically that question if they would support who Taylor says to support, and they said yes. That's how easy
Why?
it is.
Taylor's a
That's how simple
moron.
it is. And because she's famous, and they're that simple-minded.
But
I
no,
mean,
dude, it's
listen, Chester.
shocking what women let happen to themselves. It is
Yes.
ridiculously shocking, dude. I mean, look at them. Look at the state of it. They're a bunch of whores and they're proud of it. And
Yeah.
they don't understand that
And it's
you can't slut shame me. Yes, the fuck I can, and I will.
I can, and I absolutely shall. That is what's
Yeah.
going to
What
happen.
are you talking
Uh,
about? I don't care how soft the male is around you. He might not say it publicly, but he's absolutely judging your ass.
Yeah.
It's by nature, baby. And you let
And the
this happen to you.
reason,
You let this happen to you. Literally, literally. We used to have songs like,
yeah.
hold on a second. Let me take a second. And this also covers the bullshit
Uh-oh.
music that's going on. Let's go back and take a look at Steve Perry and Journey, right?
Good old Steve Perry.
Just just freaking alien ass voice, right? That guy's amazing. But he gets up and they got a bunch of hits, but he's singing about a song where this young man and this young woman meet on a train at night, right? And fall
Yep.
in love. Aw, isn't that nice? There's a whole story. The song's an entire story of their meetings and their interactions during the night. It's one of the most famous songs of that era, right?
Yep.
But yet, what do we got now? My vagina wet, auto
Yeah.
tuned.
Yeah. Auto. By the way, they're not even really singing anything. They're just saying words to a rhythm slightly, and then it auto tunes it into a song. That's what happens.
Yeah,
These people don't sing. I don't know about Taylor. Taylor probably sings. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, so I
she
have
can
no
sing.
idea if that's
She
actually
can
her.
sing. Is she
But
Britney though? Like Britney?
a lot of these people, they can't. They can't sing,
No,
and you can see it.
no.
Like
But
they
keep in
auto
mind,
tune
Taylor's
everything.
older, dude.
That's true. She's getting up there. I think she's in her mid 30s now, something like that.
Yeah, low to
Um,
mid 30s. But she started. She was like 16, 15 or something, right?
yeah,
She
yeah.
was wasn't she like
Well,
brought up by Disney or something like that? I can't remember. But I remember 50 Cent getting up and being a jackass to her, and she was just a little girl.
I mean, 50's known to be quite the jackass.
Yeah,
He
he
does it
can
with
be a
love, though.
jackass. No, he seems actually he seems like to be a real chill human now.
Yeah, he's chilled
Him
out.
and
He got
Mike
older. That's
Tyson.
what
What
happens.
happened? I don't know.
Well, Mike
You
Tyson's
got
an
it mixed up
interesting
with
one.
You got it mixed up with Kanye West. That
Oh,
was
I
He did.
did. You're right.
He did.
I did mix
But
it up with
50
the
is crazy.
Kanye.
But he's a different kind of crazy. Like, this is the guy who was getting audited and sued by the federal government for back taxes, taking pictures of giant stacks of $50 bills, talk about how he's still got it and he ain't going to get it. Like, he's a different kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, but they've chilled out. Thank you for that, though, Grimlock. You're right. It is Kanye, but Kanye's an interesting thing. But anyway, we're talking about this shit. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Do you think this is going to really kick off, or is it just more theater?
No, it's more theater for now. But here's what it proves. Proves two things. One, that very likely, unless something crazy happens, federal government will back down. They'll
Yeah,
do as asked.
yeah,
Two, that there is a willingness there for this. Remember, Chester, I
it's more
posted
than
in the
half the
chat
country, dude.
3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago now, I don't remember. I said, you asked me, how popular do you think the idea of national divorce is in America? And I was like, it's not that popular now, but it will be. Newsweek last week, the cover of it was talking about about Texas actually seceding from the union and leaving.
Which they can.
It's not only more popular. I bet you if you did an honest poll, it's the most popular idea because I don't think we want to live this way anymore. Just the other day, Booster actually, we were talking, and he's like, "Oh man, it's an American election year. This is going to ruin everybody's year." Because the way our government behaves and the way our media behaves during an election year is insane. It's psychotic the way this country behaves during an election year. And the only reason we do that is because we're all so terrified we're going to lose. We're so terrified that the other guy's going to get in power and just genocide us or whatever, or take us out.
Right.
That's not healthy. That's insane. You understand how crazy that is. That doesn't happen in any other civilized country. That's not how a civilization functions. That's, in fact, not a civilization. What it is a ransom. It's an extortion. That's what we're doing. We're just seeing who can get to the gun first. The gun's on the table, and whoever gets it first gets to shoot the other guy. That's our government now.
Kind
That's
of
where we're at.
Yeah, that makes a good analogy. But then again, when we were talking about New Zealand, they're just a bunch of cucks that get stepped on daily, and they do nothing about it.
Well, it's a tiny little island where it never snows, so
Yeah,
it's one of those situations.
It's true. You do realize that the 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 almost what is it, 88% of that country is uninhabited.
Yes.
So they all live in these little teeny cities on the coast, and they don't do anything with the rest of it because, ooh, mountains scary.
Why New Zealand getting shit on? Where'd that come from?
New Zealand's such a dumbass country, dude.
It is, but I mean, it's small. It's allowed to be done. See, America's not.
No,
We're
that's
too
true.
big. We have too much weaponry and too much influence. We have to stop being so damn dumb. So I think the only solution, and I've been saying it for years, is a national political divorce. It's the only way we all get out of this alive. Otherwise, we're going to kill each other. Because
Yeah.
the American people, you can see it online. The left is just as rabid as the right. Don't let them ever try and twist this and play it that they're not. They're out here talking about, yeah, let's do it. Biden, unleash on them. Let's reconstruct their asses. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And by the way,
I've
it's not
seen
that they
that.
don't know what that means. They know exactly what they're saying.
Right.
They know what they're saying is evil. And that reconstruction was absolutely brutal. It was military occupation. We can call it nice names if we want, but it was it was conquest.
Yeah,
And
don't
it's what
get me
happens after you're
started on the
conquered.
Civil War.
Well, my point is, the left thinks that they want another one. And like I said last week, my entire political work that I've been a part of, tangentially, in the last few years, because I haven't been actually doing it like I used to, has been to avoid a civil war. As much as I want certain people to get got, and they deserve every bit of it, there's not just the only ones who are going to get got. Millions of Americans are going to suffer in a way we've never suffered in this country. Not
Well,
since the
since the
Civil War,
war.
in fact.
Yeah.
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 And it's going
This
to be far worse than that Civil War because one of the guys said, said something to the effect of, if my Republican neighbors want to run down to Texas to get predator droned, go ahead. And I just said, sweetheart, if it kicks off, they're not leaving. They're coming for you. Understand, you're surrounded by people who are ready to kill you over it.
Yeah.
Understand, that's what you're advocating for. It's going to be everywhere.
This ugly woman icon of yours is really disturbing me.
It's not an ugly woman, it's an ugly man. It's
Fair.
different.
Okay, fine. And I've always wanted to ask Grimlock, what is this smudge that he uses as an icon?
A smudge?
It's a
Oh, because it
smudge.
blows it up, it makes it lowers the resolution. Yeah, it's.
I guess,
I'm pretty sure it's Ghost Rider.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a smudge. You should level up.
Don't tell
Get a
that to
better-
Ghost Rider.
Go get a Ghost Rider skull and use that. That would be cool.
Well, Ghost Rider is cool. Like
Yeah,
that's
no,
kind of his whole
I'm
deal.
trying to help Grimlock out here. Anyway, wow. How many truckers are coming down? Do you know?
I don't know. I've seen differing numbers. Here's what I would say. I appreciate their enthusiasm, but don't do that. Don't do it. You're walking into a honeypot if you do that. The feds are looking for a reason. Just don't. Just like I said with January 6th, don't do it. Don't go there. Don't do it. Unless if Trump would have made the call and said, "Hey, this is not happening. I need everybody here." Okay, that's different. But he didn't make that call, so it was obviously not gonna be a good situation. Nobody was gonna come out of that looking rosy.
Right. Well,
Um,
the federal government, particularly the FBI, DOJ, and things like that, they are completely corrupt and lost to the
yes,
American people. This is clear.
that's right.
And I don't care what your political leaning is. It's obvious that they've been weaponized against the American people. It's obvious. And honestly, if I were president, I would immediately shut down almost all the government departments.
Yeah. Well, the good news is most of the ones that are the problem, you can literally with one pen stroke, they're done.
Yeah, no,
The
I would
FBI
do
has no
like
legal right
Milei
to
is doing
exist.
down in Argentina and just get rid of them.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, it's outrageous. The DOJ and the FBI are not at all what they're supposed to be. They're criminal organizations, as far as I'm concerned. And
Yes.
they need to be got rid of. They need to be shut down. We need to rebuild. Plain and
Well, we
simple.
also have. Last I knew, it's probably more now. Last I knew, we had 17 different intelligence agencies. Why?
Well, yeah, and
Why?
it's probably deeper than we know.
Oh, I'm
But
sure. I'm sure there's
but
probably 50 of them. We just only know
Right.
of
But
17.
here's the thing that I never hear it's hardly ever hear anyone talking about. And it's a bit shocking to me. It's because it's like, have you not read a book about American history? Do you not understand what a constitutional republic is? I mean, have
They
you? I
don't.
mean, honestly, I mean, because yeah, the federal government has its responsibilities, but each state is its own sovereignty.
That's correct.
Why does no one talk about this, dude?
Um, well, because you remember how I said there's a gun on the table. It's a lot easier to make people believe in the power of that gun if they don't realize they don't have to be scared of it. And if every state is a full sovereign, like they're supposed to be, only genuflecting to the federal government on certain issues that are outlined in the Constitution, but other than that, they have full authority, right?
Right,
Um, as they're supposed to. If each state is actually governed that way, then federal elections don't really matter that much
right.
anymore.
Well, yeah. I
And
mean, you don't have to
that's
do
what we
anything.
should have.
Those little president's executive orders. You don't have to do that shit as a state.
Yeah, just tell them
You're
no.
not required.
No,
Yeah,
no, we're not doing that. And they do, by the way. There have been states that have. There have been both left and right leaning states that have just told, no, we're not going to, we're not,
yeah.
no. Answer's no, we're not doing that. Um, And that's good. That's what we want. We want that federalized, federalist system to do its job. The problem is, like I said, we've concentrated so much power in the federal government, especially in the hands of the president, that we've made it into a weapon that we have to get our hands on for success. And that is suicidal.
Right.
Eventually, somebody's going to pick that thing up and shoot us all in the damn head. That's what's going to happen. It might not be Biden, might not be Trump, might not even be in 10 years. It will happen. And
Well,
it has happened before, by the way. We've had tyrants in this country, especially
of
old
course,
Honest
yeah.
Abe,
Oh,
as we
he
call
was
him.
one of the worst. Yeah. But and FDR as well. But
Yeah.
but actually, the one of the easiest solutions that these states I was just looking at, right? Let me bring it back up to that state map. These states right here, one of the easiest things that they could do is simply make a statement and have the governor sign that the federal income tax is not a ratified body, and therefore we do not accept it in our state. You want to take the teeth out of the federal government, baby? There you go.
Nice.
I'm
And
just saying
that's,
they could do it
honestly,
easily. You said a pen stroke. You're right,
yeah,
because it's not
that's
ratified.
when
These states could easily say we don't recognize the IRS.
that's when the
100%.
separation really kicks off. See, right now we're just squabbling, but
Yeah,
when
but
somebody starts hitting
well,
the
dude,
money
start
supply.
kick them square in the balls and make them wake up, dude.
Yep. Oh, trust me, I've been trying, Chester. We've been trying. People I talk to, the people I know, people on my side have been trying. I'm not a Republican, not a Democrat. The Republicans,
Oh, fuck
by
the
and large, the
Republicans, dude.
base, the Republican Party is a piece of shit. The Democrat Party is a piece of bigger shit. I would rather not have either pieces of shit. That's my position. The Libertarian Party doesn't even really exist. It's a meme. That's my position. Is we have two pieces of shit to choose from, and
Yeah.
can I my option just be no shit? Can I have that be? Where's the no shit plate? Can I get that one? That's the plate I want. I don't
Well,
want to eat shit.
we need
Don't
a
like
new
it.
party, and we'll call it the Constitutionalists.
Good.
Now I'm going to go put some water on the boil, and whilst I do that, could you please try to convince Grimlock to improve his icon because it's irritating the host? Thank you.
Now, now that I know that it irritates you, I'm leaving it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. He tripped over his own dick there. That's what he did. He just screwed it all up for himself. He could have been. He could
Yep.
have been constructive. He could have been all lavish you with praise about how you deserve a better one. And what do you think, man? Get this one. Show you an example. Nope. Nope. Now it annoys you. Well, allow me to do it more.
Yeah. Shouldn't have told me that. That's the last thing you do to a person like me.
So earlier today, the wife and I decided we wanted to be lazy and not cook. So we went to go get fast food. Not something I try not to do, but we did today. And she couldn't make up her mind, so we went through the drive-through once, right? Go pull through the drive-through, and I get what I want from there, and she got something from there, and then she's like, "Well, I want something from this other place." Okay, fine. I'm like, "All right." So we leave out of there, and we go to the other place. Well, we get to that
Yeah.
drive-through, and I'm telling you, bro, there was two cars in the parking lot. I'm assuming they belong to the workers. There were one car in front of us in line, and one up at the windows, and that was it. And this line was not moving. We sat
Mm,
there for a few minutes and we bounced out, went back to the other place. But I tell you that story to get you to this. It was the exact same place I was just at, not even 3 or 4 minutes prior.
yeah.
And my wife, I said something to my wife to the effect of, I really like making people uncomfortable and make them do double
Yeah.
takes and things. It amuses me. Hence why I always have just ridiculous profile pictures. Usually,
Turkey
it
brings it out in
Yeah.
amuses
people.
me. Yeah, it amuses me that they get upset over things that are trivial. So we go back through this same drive-through, and this girl, this cute little black girl actually, is working in the drive-through, and I pull up to her again, and I hand her my thing, and she does the old double take, and then she literally side-eye memed me, the full on like, what the hell? Like, is that the same dude? It was hilarious. I love making people uncomfortable, Chester. It amuses me deeply,
Yes,
deeply.
I understand that.
As you could tell. Yeah, yeah.
I'm the
Because you,
opposite. I make people love me.
see, I don't want anybody to love me. I don't like people much. I'd prefer if they feel miserable. Thank
You
you.
know who loves me the most? Middle-aged women.
Yeah, me too. I've had that.
I don't know what
My
that
whole
is.
life. That's been a thing for me,
All
even
the
when I was younger.
Well, yeah, but all the other men around me, the thing they complain about most is middle-aged women. But
Yep.
not for me, man. I'm golden.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time
Get
I
you a
run
little
into
happy.
surly people here in Japan, it's old men.
Well, yeah, it's always old men. They're allowed though. They're old.
That's true.
They've earned it. They beat time for now. They're
They beat
they're
time.
they're
Yeah,
one up on time. They get to be mean.
fair.
Every kaiju movie I've ever seen in my life is correct. The women gravitate towards the kaiju.
That's
Yeah,
true. That is true.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
they
like the
do.
kaiju.
They like the
Listen,
kaiju.
these women. See, listen, these women are they're a little older. They got a little bit more experience under their belt. They're like, he's tall. We all know what that means, and that's what they like, Chester.
Yeah,
They
no,
they,
that's
they
true.
even if they don't consciously think that, that lizard brain is still going, and it's
I
still like, yep,
I've actually had multiple times in my life that women have actually checked.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah. Seen
weird,
that happen.
and now if I did that to a lady, now think about this, Chad. If I went up to a woman and I don't know what I'd be checking, but I grabbed her by the groin, like Trump suggests they like to be done to. Um,
Nowadays,
eh,
you'd be checking to see if she actually is.
well, I mean, I'm just saying, if I did so, I don't think it would go over very well. But yet, a
Oh
woman
no,
can come
you'd
up and
still be
grab
in
our
jail.
junk as she likes, and no one gives a shit.
I
Yeah.
mean, my wife probably wouldn't like it very much.
Well, that's probably true. But the funny thing with my wife, though, I get a kick out of because I have off days, well, normal days, and then off days. And the normal
Yeah.
days, when I go walking around here in Japan, I get plenty of female attention. But the off
Hmm.
days, which isn't, it's actually would be an on day, but not from her point of view. I get
Sure.
way more attention. They get that kind of glow in their eye. You know what I mean? That twinkle,
Oh
that
yeah. Oh
sparkle.
yeah.
And
Oh
she
yeah.
always chuckles as we're walking away. And she never seems to get mad about it.
Well, I bet if they walked up and grabbed your crotch, she'd
That
get a
would be
little
different.
perturbed.
Yeah. But she does see that.
You
And
might, Chester, you might
sometimes she'll
actually
make
hear her curse. That might
that.
actually happen.
Well, I've heard her say it one time, and it was hilarious. I'll tell you a story in a second. But she actually when that happened, then when it's like kind of a heavy day,
Yeah.
she will say, "I guess you're glowing today, huh?" And I said, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm." But no, there's one time she cursed. One time, and it was hilarious.
Hmm.
We were dating. We were living in
Oh.
Taipei, and we had an apartment together. And we used
Yep.
to go and get on the same bus every morning, and she'd go down to her university because she was doing master's studies in Chinese language in Taipei, and I was going to do I had to stay in Taiwan. You have to, as a foreigner, to live there. You're required to take Chinese lessons, which I think is a great idea, by the way.
Yep.
So I go to
Yep.
my Chinese school, and she go to her Chinese school for different reasons. But we
Mm.
get on the same bus, right? And every single day we get on there, and we're both students, right? So we have a student card, and we get a significant discount on the bus, right? Every
Hmm.
day we go on this bus, every day, Monday through Friday, right? Every day, right? And we got up one day, and we're up to where I'm getting off the bus, and she's further down. But it's the same street though. And I had forgotten my card. Right? It's my
Mm.
fault. However, same driver. Months I've been using that bus. Months. Same driver, right? And he said he basically told me in Chinese you have to pay the full price. I said, "What do you mean? You know who I am. I am on this damn bus every day." And he was just
Hmm.
stubborn old man, right? No way. Fuck it, you're paying the money. So I did, and I got
Hmm.
off and she got off with me cuz she was pissed too. I got off the bus and I said, "Fuck you." And I kicked the door, right? And she said, "Yeah,
Hmm.
fuck you." It was the cutest thing ever, dude. It
They can't
complete
help themselves.
it
They're adorable.
completely diffused any kind of anger I had. It was gone. But unbelievable. Oh, my water's boiling. It's so cute.
Oh,
Anyway, I'll
that's
be back.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious. Asian women are the most hilarious creatures on God's planet. They don't intend to be most of the time, but they pull it off effortlessly. Oh man. So, Mr. Grimlock, how is Mr. Grimlock today?
That's fine. Being lazy, nigga.
He's swell. He's swell even.
At least,
Uh, I do find it rather interesting, rather humorous that Japan, a country known for its staunch conservatism, yes, very, very conservative place, even to their
yeah,
poor sumo wrestlers who they treat like dogs, uh, just recently apparently had some big beauty pageant and some Ukrainian girl won.
yep.
And I
And they are
won as
not
Miss
happy.
Japan. And I said, "What? How? Who?"
They are
And
not.
what she,
Oh,
the
I've seen
worst
that.
part
They are
is, she's not even pretty.
no.
She's got a nose like my shoe. It's humongous. That is not
Yeah,
an attractive female. I don't care. I don't care that she's thin and has a lot of makeup on. That means nothing. She's not. She's
and
definitely not prettier than most of those Japanese girls I saw who were around her. I said, "Huh,
What are we
that's
talking about?
interesting." So, in your country, where
Mhm.
you live now,
Mhm.
good old Japon, as the Spaniards would call it,
Yeah.
uh, the current Miss Japon is not a Japanese lady.
Mhm.
It is a Ukrainian lady.
Yeah.
Uh, that is, well, she's ugly. I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna call it like I see it, Chester. She's not an
Well,
attractive woman.
the Japanese probably don't see
Uh,
it that way, but I get you, yeah.
but well, no, the Japanese are pissed.
oh, yeah. A lot of the Japanese are not fans of it.
They're very upset. My point was, Japan, staunchly conservative country, socially especially, right? There's a lot of things you just taboos you don't do. The fact that they would even let a non-Japanese girl into this competition is shocking to me, to be
Mm,
honest.
well, the Japanese are not culturally bigoted, right?
Hmm.
They just aren't. A lot of cultures are, and fair enough, tribalism and all. The Japanese aren't like that at all. They don't mind. Like if you go up and you dress like some anime character or a samurai or something like that, they're cool. They think it's awesome, right? And they also will copy and adopt things from cultures all over the world happily. You can go to a Mexican taco bar here in Japan and see people singing and dancing wearing sombreros, right?
Yes.
Because they're not culturally bigoted. They're just not, and it's not like there's some kind of social movement or anything like that. It's just their nature. They're just not that way. So I can see very clearly how she was allowed to compete. That doesn't shock me at all. The fact that she won, maybe that was unexpected.
Well, she's like I said, she's apparently a Ukraine national who's lived in Japan for a long time, from what I gather.
Sure.
Uh, and I think it was unfortunately a little bit of Japanese virtue signaling
Yeah, maybe.
because that, like Grimlock said, there is a lot of very upset Japanese folks all over because they use Twitter a lot. Actually, it's one of the main. I think besides whatever that other one is they have over there, it's like number 2 social network in Japan, or it's really high up on the list.
Uh-huh.
So there's quite a large Japanese Twitter. It's a very big segment of Twitter. So they're not happy, and they are making it known very vociferously that they're not happy about this not attractive white woman coming in and winning just because. Like, I'm
Well,
sorry, she's just not a pretty girl. She's
well,
not.
here's the thing. So let's take a look at this here. She's fine. She's a normal girl.
No,
Uh,
no. That
she's
nose is
She ain't pretty.
gigantic.
yeah, but I wouldn't say she's pretty or ugly.
She
She's
looks
just
like
kind of
Triple H,
normal,
bro.
right?
She looks
Well,
like
fair.
Triple
That
H.
is
Come on.
fair. That is fair. That is fair. But of course, when you look at her, she's probably similar to my daughter. She's probably half, right? And she was probably born in the Ukraine and grew her entire life in Japan, just like my daughter. I don't know. I'm guessing. My daughter was born in Hawaii, but she spent the vast majority of her life here. She is 100% Japanese. She speaks perfect Japanese. This girl is probably similar, and that's probably what happened. She probably has two passports, not one. I don't know. I'm guessing, but from the fact that she was allowed to compete, I bet you that was the situation. And the reason that she won is because Japan is just a bunch of sheep that are easily led by the nose, and save Ukraine from themselves. That stupid news that goes on all the time. Russia evil. So that's why she got voted in, because she's from Ukraine. We have to support Ukraine with these half Ukrainian women. So what's
And
her
the
name?
people are saying that does not represent Japan. So
And but yeah, but then you see other days where it does just fine, right? So this is a
Yep.
political thing. But her name is Carolina Shino. So her daddy's Japanese. All righty, daddy
No,
got a
no,
Ukrainian
no.
women.
Her daddy's not Japanese. Her mother married a Japanese man and took his name.
Oh, okay, fair.
That's what it says. So she's not
Then-
even a half. She's just
okay,
straight up a white woman.
right.
Just a
But
straight up Ukrainian Jewish woman whose family moved to Japan, and because she
okay,
was,
she's not what
born
I
in
thought.
Ukraine.
Well,
No.
whatever then. But I see how it happened, though. I see how it happened. And if there are some Japanese that are getting upset about it, that's because in
Well, here's
Japan,
what they're getting upset about right there. Her little line that Japan needs to change. Uh, no, you can just leave.
yeah,
Japan
you
don't need to
can leave.
change for you.
Yeah,
Get the hell out. It's their
that's
country.
true.
Been their country for 1,000 years or lot more. You can get the hell out.
But if
Don't
if
care
the
what little
situation
crowns
were
they give you.
reversed, though, if it not reversed, but if it was like I imagined it was, and I'm wrong, but if it was
Hmm.
like my daughter, the Japanese wouldn't give
Yeah,
a shit at all.
yeah.
They wouldn't care
oh
at
yes,
all.
they would.
No, they
When that
wouldn't.
half black and Japanese girl won was their representative for Miss Universe, they complained too.
Oh, did
That's
they?
true.
They do not. There was not.
Here's the problem that I'm pointing
They
Oh.
out.
did not want a half. To quote the people at the time, they did not want a halfu representing
And
Japan,
I think you're probably not
and she would be a
understanding.
halfu.
It's like in the West, there is a difference between Japanese and noisy Japanese. They're a
Mm.
very, 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 very small group, and they're probably very internet literate. The average Japanese person would not care. Now, this situation, they might care, but a half kid, they actually embrace them quite lovingly here in Japan, which I'm happy as shit about because my kids are
Here's the
that,
problem.
right?
And that aside, that's not even my point I'm even trying to make. My point is like you said, the Japanese people are sheep
No,
by and
they are.
large,
They're
which so
sheep.
are the
Yeah.
American people, but they're definitely worse. This rot is already in the upper middle class, whatever you want to call it, of Japan. This virtue signaling bullshit
Tokyo, dude.
is already set in. Yeah, and Tokyo is the center of that country, whether you like it or not. It's the biggest
No,
city in the world. Well,
it's
second biggest city in the world.
yeah. No, I don't think you understand. I understand you're comparing it to what you see in America. I get that. I understand that. But Japan doesn't function like that. The average Japanese, and many of them work in Tokyo. I understand. A lot of people go to Tokyo to work, but they're not from Tokyo, right? But the average Japanese consider Tokyo a bit of a cesspool, even though it's a beautifully clean city. They mean culturally, right? Because any kind of this, like a lot of Western people think that Japanese are all perverted because of all the strange hentai stuff that comes out of Japan. That's not coming out of Japan. It's coming out of Tokyo, right?
Tokyo.
Uh, There's a lot of weird ass shit in Tokyo. Anytime they always want to be hip and fashionable. And what's hip and
Chester,
fashionable right now? Toilets that have men in them, even though they're wearing dresses and they're for women. That's fashionable. So, but the majority of Japan, which is the majority of the people, it's different, right, than
mhm,
in the States. They
for now,
don't care for it.
for now,
I don't know. The Japanese are pretty
America used
hard-headed,
to be the
dude.
most conservative country on the planet next to hardcore Muslim countries. In 1980, Ronald Reagan won almost every state in the union.
Yeah.
Full red coverage besides Minnesota randomly.
Well,
These
Minnesota's
things
always been
change.
weird.
These things change quickly. They did it in my lifetime. They could do it in yours or in your
Yeah,
children's
I'm
because
not saying it couldn't
in
happen,
Japan.
but the thing that you don't understand is that the young people in Japan hate that shit. The young
For
people
now,
are paying attention. You're looking at generations from now for that to take place because the young ones and the up and coming
okay.
ones all think it's bullshit. They mock it all the time. And yeah, now I just don't feel that what I understand what you're saying, but I don't think Japan's even close to what you think it is. Right now, it's not. Because they've been
Here's what I think Japan is. I think Japan is very similar in mindset to America in the 60s and 70s. That's where they're at.
I'd
Like
say
as far as you're gonna put
40s.
them on time. Nah, I don't think they're that far
Yeah,
back.
no, they are.
Uh,
Dude, I
well, even
live here.
still, even still, think about it. You're actually making my point for me. What happened after the 40s and 50s?
Yeah,
What
I'm not
decade
saying
happened?
I'm not saying that a generation or two from now that won't be a problem. I'm not saying that.
The
I'm just saying
worst
right now it's
decade
not.
in American history happened in the 1960s. By
Yeah, no,
almost
it was
every
bad.
metric, it was a massive retraction of cultural values and literal value. The value of the
Yeah.
money tanked in the 60s. Uh, I don't see any unless there is a massive pushback by the young generation, like you said, which could happen, and I hope it does. Unless they remasculinize Japan now, like now, this
Yeah.
decade, by the end of this decade, by 2035, it's
Well, that
going to
is a
happen.
problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
That is
The
correct
female,
problem.
we just said the female mind cannot handle this stuff. It will collapse under the weight of their parasitic propaganda. It did it in the West. It's done it everywhere. They did it to the black people first. They absolutely will destroy the Japanese family if they get the chance. They will. And the Japanese people will march with big smiles on their faces right into the meat grinder,
Oh
just
well,
like the white Americans have done and the black
eventually. But
Americans have done.
hopefully things will pop so hard in the West that because the Japanese follow trends.
Hopefully.
So hopefully
Yes.
the West's rebellion will save them. Right. But yeah, no, this I kind of get what they're upset about then. If this girl is literally nothing Japanese about her and she won just for
Yep.
political reasons, I get why they're mad. Yeah, I get it.
Well, that's what
I'm
I'm saying
laughing
is
at our beloved Maple Chic.
yes, yes, Canada. We are having a disagreement and we're not calling each other names. I know it's crazy that people can do that, but it can happen. I just worry for Japan. I think Japan is if the West does fall, Japan will be the last bastion of Westernism in the world.
I'm just gonna
That's it,
I'm just gonna
and I
say
don't want to see it happen.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna be totally racist about it.
Uh-huh.
I start seeing
Uh-huh.
Japs with free Palestine signs. I'm dropping a nuke. Okay.
Oh,
There are some, but they're a very, very small
well,
group.
no, here's the thing that's interesting about that.
I'll give
We
you and
have
your
a
family heads up so they can get the fuck out of Dodge. But the rest of them,
Yeah,
boom.
but no, the actually it's interesting you mentioned that because we've had groups of like, a total of 10 standing outside of train stations for some reason. That's where the Japanese protest. I don't know why. But and holding and doing this whole pro-Palestinian thing. The Japanese immediately quashed that shit. Even though the
Yep.
average Japanese person is a sheep and they believe Israel is evil now. Keep that in
Yep.
mind. They
I mean, they're
believe the
not wrong.
media. They don't want none of that nonsense because they understand right well. The Japanese do know that they don't want too many Muslims in this country. They understand that clearly. They won't say it out loud, but they get it, right?
Yep. But
Um,
remember, so did every American 10, 15 years ago. And
yeah,
the endless barrage of propaganda brainwashed them into thinking that if they just come here, everything will be fine. It'll be perfectly fine. You're being an Islamophobe, and blah
Yes,
blah blah blah
I
blah blah blah.
am. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will
Absolutely. Yeah.
100% own that. Radical,
100%.
you don't even have to
Yeah.
call it radical Islam.
Yeah. Well,
Fundamental Islam is an absolute danger to everything the West stands for. There's a
well,
reason we've been fighting it since its inception.
just the Quran itself. I mean, most, a good 73% of Muslims don't act or think on what the Quran says. But if you read the
Correct.
book, which I have,
Me
it's
too.
very, very, very clear. It is your duty as a Muslim that if a person does not convert to Islam, you are to kill them. Their
That's right.
mandate from God is to take over the planet. That is their
That's right.
mandate from God in their holy book. And a lot of these people are true believers. And therefore they are following their dogma. They are following it.
Yep.
And keep in mind, there's plenty of places in the world, a lot of places you don't even think of or possibly even know the name to, where the only
Mm,
book that they're allowed to read is the Quran.
that's right.
If they go into a trade, they are taught orally. They're taught manually. They're not
Yep.
given books here. Go read this on how to move electricity along. No, the master in charge teaches you by hand. Right?
Yep.
There's many places where the only book they read in their entire life is the Quran. And the Quran is very clear in its dictate. You will take over the planet, you will remove all non-Muslims. That,
Yeah.
end of conversation, dude.
Yeah.
This is an
No, I
evil
100%
religion. I
agree.
don't care what anybody
Yeah.
says.
If you take it literally, which is what the fundamentalists do,
Yeah.
they're literalists. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I
100%.
agree 100% with you. I this idea that being phobic of something is a bad thing is retarded. You wouldn't say that to somebody who's afraid of heights.
Or
You're not
someone
you're not
who's
doing you're
afraid
not
of
bad.
serial killers.
Yeah, or afraid of snakes. You're not a
Yeah,
bad person because you're afraid of snakes.
that's
You're
right.
just you got a
That's right.
fear.
Yeah.
Now it could be irrational, and that's fine. People are allowed to be irrational as long as they're not hurting anybody. Uh, no one says that. Trust me, you don't want to make a law where people are not allowed to be irrational because 2020 that whole year is a wash for
Well,
95% of the people in the world.
still is. But
Yeah.
think about this. Juxtapose that to the Christians, right? And they're coming out of the same place. They're all
Yep.
Abrahamic, right? But look at
Yes.
how radical a shift it is with the New Testament, right? Look at it.
Hmm.
One, you are to turn the other cheek, right? Two, you are to help your neighbor.
Hmm.
Three, you are to let God enter their hearts, not you.
Correct.
So it's actually
The
anti-evangelistic.
the other big one, well, I'd say the big one, the one that really differentiates it, isn't so much the turn the other cheek, because turn the other cheek, there's arguments about what exactly that means, but not get in the weeds there. One that is not argued is where the Bible says that uh, the vengeance is mine, I will repay. You, as a Christian, are not permitted to seek vengeance against
No,
anybody
no.
ever,
It's
under any
God's job. He tells
circumstances.
you very clear, you
That
stay out of it,
God
I'm going to
doesn't
take
say
care of it.
vengeance is wrong. He just says that's
It's
my job. I
mine.
got it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So I mean, just juxtapose those two next to each other.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little bit different. Same
Well, but
concept, same idea, same God, same angels, same
yes,
everything. A little bit different take on it. A little bit. Yeah.
and that's true. That's true. Howell over here, he says, and they're also allowed to lie. So is Judaism, by the way, allowed to lie to protect and promote their religion. That is absolutely correct. It's called takia, and they've been using it since their inception.
Oh yeah.
They can lie about basically everything as long as it's in service of promoting or protecting Islam.
Yeah.
Christianity is one of the only religions that I know of where lying is
And they get that from the
absolutely
Jews, by
always
the
wrong.
way. It's not
Yes.
also, it's from the
It was
Jews
one
that
of
they get that.
Jesus's big things, by the way. He called the Jewish leaders right to their face in their temple liars and sons of the devil because they were liars.
He should have
He
used
doesn't
Big 2, would have been funnier.
he doesn't like liars. It's kind of his whole thing. He's not a fan of false
Yeah.
testimony. He's not a fan of lying. And it's one of the only tenets in Christianity that is a universal tenet. There is only one time when lying is ever permitted, and that is to save another person's life. Not even, Chester, technically not even to save your own.
No,
Tell
that's
the
true.
truth.
And the funny thing is, some people will be saying, "Well, Christians have done bad stuff too." Yeah, you're right. There are bad people
Yep.
inside Christianity who abuse it. Shit, the Catholics are built on that shit, right?
Yes.
But I'm just saying, yes, you're right. However, the majority who fall back on their doctrine don't. Where in
Yes.
Islam, if you fall back on the doctrine, it tells you to kill. In matter of fact,
That's right.
specifically tells you how you should kill. You should remove their head from their neck, where we would say shoulders, but they don't. They say neck. It even educates them exactly how they're to murder people, right?
Yep.
So it's about the majority, not the extreme. The extreme, you're always going to find jackasses no matter where you go, always. But in
Yeah.
Christianity, the majority are who follow in the doctrine are going to be peaceful and charitable, as they are. With the
Correct.
Muslims who fall back onto it, they're in a tough situation because their God is telling them to murder. That's their mandate, right? So I don't know
Correct.
about you, but if for me, if I'm a judge in religions, I'd rather keep the ones whose God is telling them to murder, whether they're murderers or not, a little bit at arm's length, a little bit.
Let's not have them. We don't need them.
Yeah, yeah.
Be all
You
right.
stay over there.
That's the other argument against immigration, right? We have all the we'll go back to this real quick. We have all these people who say we need to bring in more people to do X, Y, and Z jobs. Why? There's 350 million people in this
There's
country. You're
plenty of
telling me you
people.
can't find anybody,
Yeah.
not a single human person, who can do that job that
Well,
doesn't live here already?
Well, one of the things that's a problem with finding jobs in these, and we're talking about the cities, right? Let's be fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is well, you're letting them just go in and steal whatever they want. So what do they need a damn job for?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
honestly, you're just letting them go in and
I'm
steal.
gonna tell you right now, if I lived in one of them big cities, I don't know, man. It's pretty damn tempting. You walk in, take
Yeah.
out
Well,
$700 worth of stuff, and bolt. See
you
ya.
see all colors doing it. It's not just
Yeah,
one group or another. Everybody's doing it.
it's pretty damn tempting. I'm telling you right now, there's an aftermarket and a black market for everything. Pretty damn tempting.
Yeah,
All it's going to do is it's going to drive those stores out of those
and
places.
they
It's
are.
already happening.
California is
They're just
emptying
leaving.
at an incredible rate.
Yeah.
But anyway, interesting. Texas. It's always Texas that stands up and says, I got a hat on. You got to listen to me.
Yes, I'm wearing the hat. That means you listen.
The hat is on. You shall listen.
I'll say it again, and I'll say it for everybody, all the people in the back. As much as it's probably going to happen, and you might even say it's necessary, I don't want to see a civil war, but I do want to see a separation. I think it's time for a reckoning with the power that the federal government has and how it's abused it. And it's time, and this is for everybody. I don't care what you are. It's also time to respect people's right to disassociate. Period. If somebody doesn't want to associate with this person for any reason, they shouldn't have to. If a state doesn't want to associate with another state for any reason, they shouldn't have to.
Yeah, it
That
won't.
is a right that needs to be reinforced in our culture. It needs to be respected in our culture.
Right.
And
It
I
won't
think
come to a
that's where we're
shooting
heading.
war, dude. It won't.
I don't
Because
think it
the
will.
federal government doesn't have the push. It just, when it comes right
They
down
don't
to
have
it,
the
they
they don't
don't
have
have
the
the push.
people. What are they going to do? They're
Yeah.
going to use a bunch of migrants who have 75 IQs. Good luck. They're going to drive a tank. They're going to drive a tank. Is what you're telling me. I mean,
Dude,
they will right into each other. That's what they're going
Texas
to do.
sent Bradleys to the border. Did you see that? I was like,
Hmm.
damn, Abbott. Because he's a
My
bit milk
point is,
toast, to be fair, there with Abbott, but he's standing up right now. Well, sorry.
well, I see what you did there. My point is, I don't think the federal government has the power to resist a rebellion, quote
No, they
unquote,
don't. They don't.
right now. They just don't. They're broke. They're, like I said, the military's in the absolute toilet. It might be the worst it's ever been. They can't get new people in. No one wants to go fight for this country because why would they? Uh, it's done. But I know for a fact, and I've seen it, and I believe it. There are tens of thousands, maybe even millions of people who aren't even from Texas who would go and fight against the feds, or at least they would at least show up. Whether
Oh,
or
yeah.
not they do any fighting, they'd be
Nah,
there.
it's not good because they don't have the push, dude. There's no way.
I agree.
What are they going to do? Send in the fat, chubby IRS agents with guns? I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing they could do is send in their diehard agents and try and cause discord and
Yeah,
strife.
but how
But
many
I
of
just
them would balk at that, though? How many of
that's the
them would
problem,
balk?
and
Because
we
they know
know
they get
this for a
killed.
fact. Well, one, they don't want to get killed, and two, a lot of them are from those places. That's
Mhm.
the problem. The vast majority of our military for decades, probably a century, have come from the same places. They've come from those redneck hick towns and those redneck hick states in redneck hick counties and things. And these people aren't signing up anymore. And the ones that are still somehow there, they're not going to go kill their neighbors.
No,
What are you
they're not.
talking about?
And they had trouble with that during the Civil War as well. But Maple Chic, I'm 100% on board. Thundero's a bastard. I agree.
He should be happy. He lost the Royal Rumble last night. He should be happy. He got all the way to the end and then got thrown out by Dusty's kid. He should be happy.
Dusty's kid?
Yeah, Cody.
Oh,
Cody won the
Cody.
Rumble.
Oh, Cody. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought we were talking about Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin in his 50s winning Royal Rumbles.
Well, no, I mean Dust. I thought you were talking about Dustin. Gold Dust. I
Oh,
was
no,
like,
no.
he's got a kid wrestling. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I bet you he's got a kid coming up though.
There's got to be another one in the pipeline. I don't know how many kids does he even have. Let's look. I'll check that out right now.
I mean, shit, Cody's getting up there. His kids are probably in high school.
No.
Cody just had his first daughter. He just had his first daughter.
Really? What?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 40 something.
Cody's young.
No, Cody's only 36 or 37, something like that. He's not that old. I mean, he's still pretty old for having his first one, but he's not in his 40s.
Well, yeah, but Dustin's like my age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They had a big
Dustin
age
doing?
gap.
Why such a
Listen,
big age gap?
He was partying, all right?
Well,
That's
fair
what he
enough.
was doing. No, he went through some really unironically hard times after the middle of WCW, like middle 90s WCW.
Right.
And that's when he raised Cody up. And Cody actually grew up fairly poor, even though he was the son of Dusty's kid, which is interesting because he blew through all his money, basically. He was near bankruptcy when they finally went back to the WWE to help him with developmental and to do other stuff. But yeah, no. So Cody had a completely different life from Dustin. Dustin had far more of the, superstar life than Cody did. Cody grew up fairly poor. I believe his mother is Cuban, if I remember right. So Cody's a half and half too. He's not actually a white boy. He just looks like one.
Well, they're white too. Yeah, I don't know. Don't listen.
Well,
to
you know what I
Latins.
mean.
They're white.
You know what I mean. They like to pretend, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. They make really good rice. All right, I like the rice.
That is fair. Anyway,
They
we're
make
talking
better
about
rice than the Asians do.
Dustin. How many
You
kids
know
he
it,
got?
and I know
He's
it.
got like what? 5?
According to this,
five.
he only has one daughter, and she's 30 years old, and actually a cutie.
Jesus. What are you doing? You're failing. Freaking dynasty. You should have popped out 12. Well, not you.
Well, now
but,
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see. Because now I'm confused.
I thought he had
I don't
a few
know.
kids, dude.
Let's see. There's Dusty Rhodes. Yep, we know him. The American Dream, baby. Spent all his money on polka dots.
He did.
No, that was Vince the Sex Pest that bought the polka dots for him. Thank you. Did you see that, Chester? Did you see what happened to your icon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
My icon. All right. Well,
Yeah.
no, what
Yeah,
has
he's
he
yours
done
now. Well, so he had signed an NDA and had his ex-girlfriend signed an NDA because they were getting up to some shenanigans in the sexual manner, including other men, including multiple partners, including apparently
he shoots hormone directly into his dick. That old man.
Apparently defecating on her head during sex.
Vince.
Yeah, just all sorts of wicked, degenerate nonsense. She claims that at one point, which this is where the story gets a little silly, she claims that at one point she was working for the company. She was working for the company, quote unquote. She was hired to be his sex doll, basically. Mm-hmm. And at one point in the office, at some point, she was in a closet, locked in this closet, I'm assuming, and Vince and one of his cohorts came in at different intervals and forced themselves, quote unquote, on her while other people were outside of this closet working. And I'm like, how did this happen? Yeah. Nobody was curious why the owner of the company was in this closet for 15
this
minutes,
loud
whatever it was.
Noise.
Yeah, nobody was curious about any of this. There was just nothing, no one. And then the lady decided to come back to work the next day.
Yeah,
what?
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
Especially Vince McMahon he could get tail at any time he wanted it. There's
I
no
mean, he
issue
could
with
buy
Vince
the best
getting
pussy in the
tail.
world. He's a
Yeah,
billionaire.
that's nonsense. The fact that he's the degenerate,
Yes.
that's not a newsflash.
There's a shock to no one.
No,
Yeah,
that's not surprising.
yeah.
But no, she's made allegations in a new lawsuit because he agreed to an NDA. He was going to pay her $3 million for this. That was
Uh-huh.
the agreement,
Uh-huh.
and then he stopped paying her.
Okay.
So she's decided to take it to court because he stopped paying.
I see.
Not because she was so horribly abused or raped or molested or maligned, or they're actually saying it was a sex trafficking case. That's what
Uh-huh.
they're calling it now.
Uh-huh.
Not because of any of that. No. Because he stopped paying. That's why.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why it became a problem again.
Whore. She's a whore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I mean, and that's not going to do anything to him because it's just like Donald
Well, it
Trump.
already did.
How?
Unfortunately, he had to step down because remember he sold his company last year
All right.
to the and they have the parent company that owns both UFC and WWE. They're all one company now,
Right.
and the board of Endeavor, which is that company, probably told him, "Hey, you gotta step down. Like,
Yeah,
you can't.
well, that's true.
We
There's
got
no
all this stuff
company
happening."
involved, but as far
Yeah,
as
they don't
public
want all that.
opinion, no one's shocked. It's like with Trump,
No,
and he was accused of having sex with the that old
porn
prostitute
star.
there, porn star. Yeah, what her name was.
Yeah,
Sunny something. But that lady, and no one
yep,
cared. No one cares. Like, yeah, woohoo, Trump. No one gives a shit,
yep,
right?
yep.
It's about the same with him. I get the
Well, it gets
company thing with Trump.
crazier. Gets a little crazier. So after the Royal Rumble was last night. After the big pay per
I like
views,
Royal Rumble. I've always been a fan of the Royal Rumble.
it was. I thought it was a good show. There's a bunch of people whining online about it, but I thought it was fine. Um, they do this weird thing where they do two rumbles in one night because they do one for the ladies and one for them, and or one
I
for the
don't need
men.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid. But regardless, that's not my point. After that, they do this little press conference thing, right, where a few of the wrestlers will come out, the media will ask them questions, and then Triple H comes out at the end
Hmm.
to give them, actual factual information about the attendance and the ticket and how much money they made, stuff like this, and answer questions. And of course, one of the very first questions was about Vince, and he just straight told him, he goes, "I'm probably going to give you the answer you think I'm going to give you, which is no answer. I'm not going to say." He can't. There's people online that are upset that he didn't shit on Vince McMahon, his father-in-law, the grandfather to his 3 daughters. He didn't come out here and just start firing missiles at him for
Of
being a
course he's
degenerate or
not. Yeah,
whatever.
and we all know anyway. And now you correct me if I'm wrong, but Triple H has been with his wife for quite a while, right? A long time.
About
They've been
20 years,
together.
I'd
Yeah,
say.
a
A little
long
over
time.
20 years. Yep.
And I've never heard much of the accusation against Triple H sexually.
No. Now,
Yeah.
Triple H is a full-on straight edge. The only drugs I think he's ever done are steroids.
Oh yeah.
He
Well,
doesn't do
we've
drugs.
certainly
He
did
doesn't
that.
drink. He's got a probably 150 something IQ. He's genuinely a genius. Like I've seen his because he went to college and everything. I've seen that stuff that was brought up in interviews years ago. People pulled up his records. He's not he's probably smarter than Vince, if we're being honest. Like IQ wise, he's probably is, and he's
Yeah, he's
completely
not a
straight edge,
degenerate. Yeah.
and he's not a degenerate at all.
Yeah.
He's as
Unlike
far as I know, I
Hulk.
haven't ever even heard a story of him doing degenerate shit except for with his wife, which doesn't count. So
Does any wrestler actually live up to the hype of Vince McMahon in that regard?
of being a degenerate,
Yeah.
No.
probably Rick, maybe Rick, old Nature Boy. He was out and about back in the day. That was way
Flair.
back in the day before they had
Yeah,
the
but
internet.
his was
Yeah.
always open and fun loving though.
Yeah, well, allegedly, there's some accusations against him too, but I don't buy them. But yeah, I think there's probably a handful out there who've been more whorish and more, like because Vince had been cheating on his wife forever, right? That wasn't even a secret. Howard Stern asked Stephanie McMahon about it on his show 20 years ago. Like
Yeah.
it's been known. That's been known that Vince is a bit of a sex pest.
Hua.
A bit of a hooah. But no, my point is the fact that these people actually thought Triple H was going to say anything, regardless of whether it's his father-in-law. Personally, obviously, he's not going to say anything. Professionally, he can't.
No, the
He
new
works for
company
this
wouldn't allow
company.
him. Yeah.
They're in a lawsuit. What's he going to do? Go out there and make the company lose money? all kinds of liability by talking shit? No, that'd be
Yeah.
well, that'd just be dumb.
Yes,
That's what that would
because
be.
Twitter's that stupid.
Yeah, they are. They're that dumb. That's how dumb these people are. Because they didn't get what they wanted. See, they didn't
Yeah.
get the spaghetti as we used to call it.
It's no, it's always they want in their pound of flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's um I always tell people when I see these fuckers on the internet, I I think of this song. It was by this rock group, this British rock group called the Kaiser Chiefs, called the Angry Mob. And the song ends with them repeating this one part. It's like, we are the angry mob. We read the paper every day. We like who we like. We hate who we hate, but we're also easily swayed. That's what looking at these motherfuckers is. It's that part of that song verbatim because it's like that's them. It's like
Yep.
2 days ago they liked Triple H, but because they did not because Triple H did not serve them their pound of flesh on a silver platter that they was looking for, now he's an asshole. It's the same thing. It's like every time somebody makes a mistake, it's like the fact that we're still talking about Hulk Hogan saying nigger almost 20 years later.
Yep.
One time, the man said nigger one time. I said that more last night watching sumo
Said it more
than
right now.
Right now.
Hulk Hogan. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've actually said it more in this stream today than fucking Hulk Hogan has probably said in a lifetime.
Right.
But
Well, my argument with Hogan has been the same since these people got upset about it. Give me one example in his 50 years of public career of him
yes,
of a story of any fan that's got a genuine story, any wrestler of him doing something horribly or even mildly racist to anyone. That should
well,
be
yeah,
easy. 50 years? 50
well,
years? He's got nothing? Get out of here.
it's because these people again, like when you guys was talking about earlier about excuse me, manipulation, and it's like,
Perfect.
well, yes, because I I was trying, um, but these people are so ingrained into their feelings. It's like you're not even looking at the picture. To me, there's a difference between somebody making, having a bad day, making a really bad mistake, and a pattern of violence or just an overall pattern. It's like, for example, the Ray Rice incident. Everybody condemned that man, and I'm not agreeing with what he did to his wife in that elevator. They was both wrong.
Yeah, she started
That's
it
the
though.
that's the. I mean, yeah. Well, I said they was both wrong. They excused her behavior to condemn him. But the key thing is, you've never heard anything about him doing anything like that again.
No.
People who have patterns of behavior doesn't end just there. For example, O.J. Simpson had a pattern. Chris Brown has a pattern.
Yeah, he's racist.
Ray Rice, Ray Rice did not. Hulk Hogan, by all accounts, does not. If somebody's holding something back, if somebody just has a treasure trove of Hulk Hogan racist moments,
I
then
want
they're
to see
holding
him
it back. I
because
want
it'd
to
be
see it.
funny.
They will.
Well, yeah,
I think it would be
same.
hilarious, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. This was a dude who was out here putting Dennis Rodman over. Dennis Rodman. You think if he had said or done something racist around Dennis Rodman, Dennis wouldn't have said something? Come on now.
Well, I'm just gonna say
The man
because
was
I like to
insane.
see. I just like because I want to see the world burn. I just want to hear it in his voice. Well, let me tell you something, nigger.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
That
all
would
I
be
no!
want.
funny. That
Just
would be
one.
funny.
I wonder if I could cameo and ask him to do that.
Oh my god!
Unbelievable.
Like,
Poor
how much
Hulk.
money
Um,
would I have to throw at that to make that happen?
just as a bit of
Oh,
etymology,
yes.
um, uh,
Uh-oh.
pound of flesh, you guys kept mentioning, comes from Merchant of Venice, a Shakespeare play. And
Mhm.
of course, we all know what that means. But it's interesting that from that singular play, there are actually multiple modern, slang usage. Other than pound of
Yeah.
flesh, we also have Shylock, course, who the pound of flesh was wanted from. But or at least it was wanted for him to get it from Antonio. But we use the word Shylock these days too, right? And
Mhm.
keep in mind that in that play, Shylock was a Jew.
Yep.
Of course.
Interesting. But anyway, I did have other stories. Let me bring them up.
Let's talk about them.
Uh, mhm.
Oh my goodness! Chester, I want you to say the three little words to me because and I want you to say it to me after my prediction a few years ago. I want to hear it. Come on.
um, get a life.
Can't do it. He can't do it, folks.
How does that have anything to do with Pal World?
What about Pale World? What would you like to talk about Pale World,
Now,
Jester?
I found this to be a very interesting thing. This game has absolutely popped, dude. Well, they're approaching 10 million purchases. They're number two in Steam all-time concurrent players at over 2 million. This
Yep.
game is popped. This from a couple of kids here in Japan. They're making money, 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 and it's a great little game. And of course, anytime someone has success, you got to have those people who are going to try to tear them down just because they're dicks. Everyone's like they're copying Pokemon. No shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, so what? How many people you think have copied Pokemon? Pocket Monster has had a huge influence on our modern world. Huge,
Yep.
right? And the only thing I have to say about this is Nintendo said that they're going to look into it, and I really think Nintendo should just shut up and go away because they're getting hit for having that comment anyway. Because here's the thing, Nintendo can't make this game. That's not
Well, the
Right.
only reason
Nintendo.
Nintendo said they're going to look into it is because, as we just talked about, the retards on Twitter for the
That's
last
right.
2 to 3 weeks
That's
have
right.
nearly nonstop have been posting. Are you guys going to address this? Are you guys going to do anything about this? Are you going to say anything? And I'm like, faggots, go away.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
Nintendo
I'm
should have said. Basically, no comment because like I said, they're not going to win it. This it's clearly different enough. We know how those laws work. We've seen it happen many times. Look at
yeah.
Disney, right? And everyone copies anyway. But more importantly, for me, the most important thing about it is this: Nintendo can't and won't make this kind of game anyhow. Nintendo has been very clear. They are a company that makes kids games, and they will not adulterate themselves. They won't do it, right? And good for them. I think that's their wheelhouse, and you stick to it. I'm cool with that. So this game is basically Pokemon Adult with guns. And Nintendo can't make this game. They can't make games full of slavery and murder and eating Pokemon. It's like a meme. It's like a parody in a way, right? And Nintendo can't do that. They won't do that. So Nintendo should just stay the hell out of it because it's not going to
right.
work out for them, dude. But the freaking bang that is Pal World, dude. I,
A lot of that's due to streamers,
oh yeah,
because they picked it up big.
Asmongold and all those
Yeah.
guys are just absolutely pumping it, and it shows you the power of those dudes. But then again, I don't watch all streamers, but a lot of the ones I do watch are very similar to us in their brain. Like Asmongold is not too dissimilar to us. He's probably a little bit more liberal than we are, but he's very similar to us,
Yeah.
right?
Similar
Yeah, yeah,
ideals.
yeah. Same
He's
bullshit
got a
is
pirate's
bullshit.
mindset.
He
Yeah.
does. But I'm just saying those guys are the ones that are pumping it, and everyone's on board. I came on to Discord today to get ready to the show and let everybody know, hey, we're coming on. I saw on the side many of the people in our Discord playing Pal World.
That's right. Yeah.
This game is
I
popped, and I have nothing but happy feelings for those Japanese boys. Good for you. Because the game they came out, it's just a couple of dudes, right? The game they
Yep.
came out with, I watched Asmongold playing it. It's clean, dude. It's a good looking game.
Yeah,
Yeah, does the job.
it's
Good for them.
actually it's actually a cleaner, smoother running version than the last Pokemon game, official Pokemon game that actually came out through Game Freak. Um, it's also further proof that as one Eric July has pointed out, there are alternatives out here. You don't always have to go the same route
Hmm.
if you want something. And like you said, this is a game that Nintendo and I'll say for the right reasons, because I mean, Pokemon is established. Everybody knows what it is. You couldn't do a Pokemon game like this. So I agree with you completely on that part. But there was an
No, they can't.
avenue
It's impossible.
clearly. There was an avenue clearly that people did want a Pokemon game like this,
Yeah,
and
obviously.
not only is that, you had two guys who apparently could do it, cared a whole fucking lot about it,
Oh,
because
clearly.
just two
Look what
guys,
they
holy shit,
created.
that's labor.
Yeah, look what
That's
they
a
made.
labor of love.
Oh yeah.
If with just two guys, and also because it's not being talked about enough, the price was reasonable. That's
30
another
bucks.
reason this game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a labor of love, something people can easily identify with, and the price is right. Sounds like a perfect storm to me, in a good way.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I think it's wonderful. I love it.
they have it available on Game Pass for people who have the Xbox Game Pass. And I have it. I downloaded it. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to on my next one of my next days off. But yeah, I'm glad for these guys. I
Yeah.
mean, you did something. There was something there that you liked. There was clearly a every now and then, that phrase, "the market doesn't know what it wants." Well,
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that they didn't know the market would be this big, but I'm pretty sure there were some people who wanted this.
Obviously.
And
Grimlock, me personally, I don't really care for the Pokemon aesthetic. I mean, that's
yeah,
me. But obviously, a lot of people do, right? And I think it's awesome. I think it is so cool that you have it's like Austria. It was nowhere near the same amount of
yeah,
money, but it's made by a single Ukrainian guy, actually. But I love the fact that two dudes put out a banging, gigantic world with flying
yeah,
mounts. Easily done when so many other companies say, "Oh, we can't. That's not easy to implement." Fuck off. Two dudes
yeah,
did
Uh-huh.
it with an incredible look, style, a completely developed survival building system in it, a progression system. I mean, Jesus, dude, these two dudes, I almost think it's a lie that two dudes made this game.
Well, one of the things
Well,
you're going to see going forward, and we're already starting to see, is AI is revolutionizing the way games are made.
It
A
is,
lot of
dude.
programming can be done with AI in a blink of an eye
Yeah.
that would have taken teams weeks to do.
Right. I mean, because
Uh,
AI is
yeah,
not in this. You don't get to
no,
use AI in the game, but they used it to develop it. And
yeah,
more of that, please, thank you. Because
yeah,
two dudes put a. This game is clean, dude. I watch Asmongold playing it. This game is
yeah.
really, really good.
It is, and it's funny. It's funny watch and this is if you want to talk about going back to the manipulation you guys was talking about earlier, how clean and smooth this game is running. Even just watching this trailer, how
It's
clean
smooth.
and smooth this game is. Because the last official Pokemon game that came out had horrible frame rate issues, had animation
Right.
issues. It was like, and I'm not a huge Pokemon fan. Like, I actually have played like some of the more recent games, and I just did it to try something new because I wasn't one of those kids. By the time Pokemon blew up, I was just like somewhere in high school. It was more my little brother's thing
Right.
than mine.
It's my kid's generation
So,
perfectly. Yeah.
so I
yeah.
I tried two of the more recent Pokemon games as just something new as a change of pace, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed both of those games. But even then, I skipped the last one because of all the issues I heard early in the game, and the fact that Nintendo kind of nonchalantly didn't really address them right away, or Game Freak didn't address them right away, rather.
Right.
And this looks so much cleaner and smoother, and it addresses all of those problems
Right.
that people was having problems with, but because they're so manipulated, instead of looking at this as like, okay, even if you don't want to play it because you just see it as a Pokemon ripoff, you got to look at it and go, damn, why can't Game Freak do that?
Right, right. And
So,
Like, why
who
aren't they
is
doing it? They got the
this? Is this a
budget, they
fully
got the money.
is this a fully independent company, or are they
yeah,
with
no,
Microsoft?
fully independent. Yeah, these are two
So
guys.
why doesn't Nintendo just buy them
I would hire them.
They
Yeah,
might, they might.
I would hire them. That's my solution.
and buy them
Because
out and let them
they
make
are
their games,
amazing.
and
It's
then problem
amazing.
solved? Yeah.
Um, but the absolute just chorus of Pokemon fanboys that are upset about this game. It's like, really get a life, man. Get a life.
You know,
Yeah.
but Lar, you know what? I just thought about it. With the amount of success that they have had, and they don't, and we're not even talking about maybe potential DLC or nothing down the road. With the way that they're cleaning up right now, shit, they might be like, hell, we don't need Nintendo.
Yeah, dude, they're
Well,
approaching. They're like on $300 million earned. I mean, of course, that's not in their pocket, but you know what I mean, gross. It's yeah, they didn't expect this. They probably expected they'd be happy if they got 100,000. Probably that was their exciting target, right? Not
Yeah,
freaking 10 million. Yeah,
well, the market, like he was saying, the market clearly it makes sense, right? People have wanted a more mature Link forever, so
yeah,
that somebody gave them a more mature Pokemon, and it blew up. And
yep.
it works. First, it works. That's the big thing why it blew
It
up.
works really well,
You
and
know,
it's pretty.
it functions, does the job, and it's just a mature take on Pokemon. And that's those kids, quote unquote, that were playing Pokemon when they were little kids. Well, they're adults now,
Yeah,
and
and
they
they're
would like
loving it.
something a little bit more adult.
And they're loving it. And it doesn't have crashes, it doesn't have queues, it doesn't have any of those problems that so many AAA games have when they come out like year after year after year. It just works really well. Now, from watching Osmongold play, it looks like they need to do some tweaking. I think they need to adjust the ratio and rate of how their Pokeball, whatever they call it, captures. I think that's a little off, but that's okay. They can fix those little things, and I'm sure DLC is coming. But the world is so freaking gigantic, Grimlock. It's so
yeah.
big, dude. And I don't even know if the players in the game have actually seen everything that's in it yet. The thing's only been out what 10, 11 days. I mean, honestly, I don't even think people have found the entire map.
And they might not have. I'm pretty sure there's been a couple people no life in it, but I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe. I've seen a couple online. That's true. But I just one, I'm happy for them. You go, guys. One, but two, the absolute uproar. And the thing that's interesting to me is how many people their main complaint is AI, and it's like you do realize that's coming and you ain't stopping it, right?
oh no, that
You
that
ain't
that
stopping that.
you stopping that train has left the station.
Yeah, it's done, dude. That genie's out. It ain't you ain't. I mean, and if this was what AI allows two competent dudes to create, shit, I'm happy about the damn gaming future. Because imagine if if someone had made this more like say Valheim, right, with that kind of look, cleaner. Because Valheim is, it's fine, but made it cleaner, and you're collecting. It's Valheim, but someone used AI to generate the look and to make sure everything works smoothly, right? Imagine that. It's coming. This dude, you know how many people are going to jump on this freaking bandwagon?
Good.
Yeah, no, I
You
think
you
it's
know me.
great.
I've been very, very clear that I think copyright is retarded. That it's wrong-headed laws designed to protect uncreative people to milk money from creative people that are either dead or no longer in creation mode. Anyway, the fact that maybe Nintendo could actually do something about this legally, they probably could, especially in Japan that has very strict copyright
And
laws.
they won't.
But
I don't think
and I
they
don't
can.
think they will. I think what they're going to do instead is what
Let's
I
hire
said because
them.
it's a smart business decision. Bring them on board.
Yeah,
Throw some money at them.
yeah.
Bring them on board.
These
Maybe even make a whole new IP that isn't related to Pokemon, or just let them keep making this and make it a Nintendo property, or even like I get that Nintendo has a brand and they want to be their own, this, or whatever. But I am young enough. I'm gonna say young enough to remember when the N64 had all sorts of mature exclusives that you could only get on the N64 which meant
And
that
they get
Nintendo
Dark
had
Horse
Well,
exclusivity
Gemini
deals with them.
Nintendo
XD.
has refined itself, right?
Yeah. My point is, they don't have to stay that way. They could have other companies make the games and just simply be the distributor for them, which they do with a lot of their games anyway, and it wouldn't hurt their brand at all. And I hope they're smart enough to realize Nintendo is a very smart company. So I hope they're smart enough to realize that. And instead of trying to punish these guys for, just being incredibly successful and filling a market gap that they should have filled, they work with them to keep the market gap filled. Because, like you said, this isn't going to stop. AI is here.
It
You're not
is.
going to put the genie back in the bottle. They're going to try, but they're not going to succeed. And you're going to see more stuff like this with games that are obviously heavily inspired, we'll call it, by other franchises, but are a different take on them or evolved take on them. And because of that, they're able to be very, very successful. I don't think this is a one-off. I don't know if any game will ever be as successful as this, but I do think we're going to see some others coming down the pike for other franchises that are just, you can look at it and be like, oh, well, that's just
Uh,
Pokemon. Like, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, that's just Pokemon, right? Like, it's pretty obviously that's what it was, but obviously they added more mature elements, if you will. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for the marketplace. I think that's a good thing for creativity. I think that's a good thing for everybody involved. It'll force companies to innovate more. It'll force creators to be, creative again. And maybe we'll get less just straight up copying from year to year Call of Duty on the 25-year-old engine, by the way. And we'll get some more actual innovation where things
hmm.
actually start to get better. Because I like pretty graphics as much as the next guy. I do,
Yeah, I
but
do.
that doesn't make a good game. It just
No,
doesn't.
no.
It just doesn't.
I'm too picky though. There's plenty of good games I won't play because they're ugly though. Me
Well,
personally.
if it's ugly, like offensive to the eyes, yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
But if it's just
I don't like the pixel shit. I don't like it. Dude, I grew up with that shit. I'm happy it's dead. I don't want it again. You go.
If it's well done, I still
Yeah,
enjoy some
I
of
know a
that.
lot
Like
of people do. I won't.
I still
my
enjoy
point
like
is,
some of the indie games that do the 16-bit stuff. I mean, some of it's the better games I've played in years.
my point is, from 2000, let's say 10 let's say the last decade, 2010, 2020. There wasn't a lot of games, AAA games that came out in that time frame comparatively to the decades before it. Largely that is because they're trying to chase this dragon of bigger, 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 bigger graphics, bigger sound, bigger everything. And no one really is asking for that except them. Like, they're the only ones chasing this dragon that nobody really needs slayed. And we know
Well,
this because look how many
yeah,
copies
no,
this game sold.
it's my generation that's pushing that. I admit that. I understand that thinking, but I think they've kind of got there. Maybe it's
That's my
very,
point. That's where I was
yeah,
going. I think
yeah.
we're where we don't need to really go any. We've kind of nailed it.
We're
Yeah, it will
here.
probably get better, but I really
Let's
don't think
clean
we
it.
need to.
Yeah,
Let's
it's like,
clean it up, tighten it up, let's innovate. Why is a controller still the exact same? Remember when they used to try at least to put out new controller
oh yeah,
designs?
I
They at
do.
least
Yeah,
tried something.
I had
Why don't we try
I
that
played the
again?
Atari.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the N64 that I mentioned earlier, that controller's a damn Rubik's cube now if you try to use it, because everybody's so used to the double stick, the whole system that Xbox normalized, and PlayStation normalized. Everybody's so used to that there's been no real innovation in the way games control. If anything, they've regressed. I think a lot of modern games just are sloppy. They feel sloppy to
They
play.
are. They're a mess. They're a mess. Yeah,
That needs to
yeah,
stop. That needs
yeah.
tightened up. And little companies like this blowing up huge because they're not sloppy is one of the main reasons.
And
Is what's going to push that.
that's why the woke guys are so upset. Is that something that they did not put their rubber stamp on succeeded?
Yep.
That's a big
Of
part of
course.
it. It's just simple envy, and we see a lot of that coming out. But I 100% agree. It's very similar to the early immigration conversation, where in America really needs to shut its borders for a while and stabilize. And I
Yep.
think you're right. Video games need to do the same because constantly pushing to have even better and better graphics. I don't mind the concept, but you're
Yep.
sacrificing content for that.
Correct.
Whereas these two guys, I don't know how long they developed it. It said they started their company in 2015. I went and looked at, so they're a 9-year-old company or less. But look what they made. I don't know how long this development happened, but they did a good job.
Happening everywhere too, Chester. You mentioned another game earlier. There's other games. There's a space game that I can't remember the name of right now. I think it's just Spaceborne, I think is what it's called, actually. That's by a single developer in Turkey.
Yeah,
That is, it's amazing. It's an actual space game where you're in space doing space shit, and it's made by one guy.
yeah. There's
You can
another
get out
one
of your
called
ship, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's another one called this is a little bit of more of an RTS, but there's another one called Witch Stone,
Mm,
and looks great, and that's a small team as well. Yeah.
yep.
But yeah, no, we're more. I'm all on board for it. If this game didn't have the stupid Pokemon look, I'd be playing it.
It does actually look kind of fun. My problem with
I
those
just
types
not.
of
I don't like it
games
looking.
is I get bored with them, right? Because they're just grinds. That's basically their progression system in pretty much every one of these, Minecraft ripoff style games. It's just endless grinding. And
Hmm.
if you're a very Japanese minded person or Asian minded, that's probably amazing
Or
because for
old.
some reason they love it. But I have to. There has to be a destination. I have to be going somewhere when I'm playing a game. I can't just play a game to play a game. Like, where am I going? What's the
Well,
point?
the
What am I?
game
What
I'm
am I doing?
waiting for comes out in March. It's called Enshrouded. That's what I'm
Ah,
playing next because it'll that game lets you actually build whatever you want to build, and that's
that's
really
cool.
really cool. And it's got that what do they call that? They're using polygons, but you're building on polygons. But they have a name for it. I can't remember what it's called.
Um.
For
Oh,
construction purposes, the whole world is built out of it, so you can destroy anything.
that's good. I was just gonna say, it's shocking to me that 20 years on, probably the games with the best destruction engines were the Red Faction games from back in the day.
Oh yeah,
Why?
yeah,
Why? That's 20 years ago.
yeah.
What the
Yeah, but this
like?
Enshrouded game it's got my attention big time. Like I played Valheim, but you're right. The grind and the final reward of what you could build was okay, right? I mean, because
Yes.
that's why I play The Sims, right? I love The Sims, right?
Hmm.
But do I go and do dating missions? No, I don't, right? I mean, I will facilitate anything that needs to be facilitated in that way. But
Sure.
mainly what I'm doing is building, right? Because
Right.
The Sims, strangely enough, has a great little builder system in it. Great one. You
Yeah.
can do all kind
Yeah.
of things. You can place stuff, and especially if you know all the cheat codes and control codes, you can put anything anywhere you want. You could build these beautiful homes. That's why I play The Sims. I love it. And this Enshrouded looks like maybe it's a little more fiddly, uh,
Sure.
but but that's interesting me. And you can go out and you have to go into the shroud and gather resources and stuff. So there's a grind to it. But I'm old school, right? I'm literally the beginning of video game culture, me. So we
Yep.
grew up on grind. There we didn't even have a word for it because that was just video games.
Right. That was just what you did.
It's just video
Um.
games, right?
Yeah. No. That's why I think we're seeing, and this is a good thing, and I think we need to see more of it. And thank God for Steam because it's the only reason it's happening. Um, we've seen a big shift culturally in video games, especially in the West, in the last decade or so, where it went from, if you remember, I sure as hell do, the brown, I call it the brown era, the brown age, where everything was just fucking brown,
Yeah, no,
right?
that's
Every
real.
major
Yeah,
game was
that's real.
brown, and they all kind of played the same, and most of them were some variation of shooter, and it was just like everybody, collect as a gamer. Because I'll play anything. If it's good, I'll play it. I don't give a shit who it's for. I don't care if it was designed for chicks. Is it good? Is it fun? Let's try it. I don't care. I'm full on gourmand when it comes to. Let's see it. Put it over here. Is it good, fun to play? I'll play it.
Right.
And so when you get this culture of only one style of game is allowed to is what really comes out, especially AAA. It just kind of sucks the life out of you. But Steam came along and changed that because it allowed people who had
Yeah.
creative ideas an avenue to get those out to the world. And that showed the big companies that, oh, well, maybe some people do actually want 4X space games again or
Right. Right.
exploration
And
games or
and
whatever.
and give it to Valve. They
Yeah.
allow pretty much anything to be dropped on their service. No,
they get in trouble a lot.
yeah, but so what? They say fuck off. Because and I'm happy for that. That there's a lot of content on Steam I have zero interest in, but I'm happy
Yeah.
that it's there. because I don't
Yep.
care what you're into, right? And what it is you want to play. Why can't you play it, right? I mean, there are
Yep.
certain things that you shouldn't, that you really shouldn't be doing. But in general, I'm not against it. And that's the problem we have today. There's plenty of things that I don't agree with or I don't like, but I'm not going to tell you you can't do it. I'm responsible for me, not you, right?
Yep.
And Steam seems to get that. So good for Steam, dude. And they're
That is
making money, money. Steam's making
money.
money, dude. Yeah. So
Yeah, no,
whatever.
there's a reason Valve doesn't really make video games anymore.
No, they don't have to, right?
Yeah, they're good.
You're not getting your Half-Life 3. Give it up.
No, that's probably not happening. And
Yeah.
you probably don't want it to happen now. And all the people who made Half Life have mostly retired. You
Now
don't want these. You
they
don't
made
want
a
these people in
refreshed
there.
version of it anyway. It's called
No.
Black something or another. It looks pretty good. But yeah, no, you're right. Anyway, I had another story connected to the whole Microsoft thing. Whereas Microsoft lays off 1,900 Activision Blizzard staff.
Good.
Now Microsoft, Disney, these big companies, when they buy stuff, they basically shut everything down and fire everybody. And usually we
Yep.
bitch about it. But in this case, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Uh.
Microsoft just
Yes.
needs to find someone to refresh that IP because Blizzard
Yeah.
has absolutely shot itself in the face 1,000 times.
They keep shooting themselves in their own dick and then getting all surprised when it hurts.
Yeah.
They do it. They do it not only like at a business level with the ridiculous PR scandals they keep having, but also in the games they keep doing
No,
it. They keep
they're
like
absolute looter shooters, dude. They're just it's all money grab.
the fact that they release a remake of their most important game they've ever made, Warcraft 3,
Warcraft 3.
and it was shit.
Yep.
It was embarrassing. It was so bad. The fact that they did that should tell you all you need to know about what this company's priorities are.
Yep.
You do not take the Warcraft IP, which is by far their most important IP. Yeah, they have
Thank
other
you,
ones that make a
Joshua.
lot of money too.
Voxels.
Diablo makes a lot of money, a surprising amount of money actually. Sure, okay, but Warcraft, especially Warcraft 3 into World of Warcraft, is by far their big money maker. I
Oh
don't even
yeah.
think it's close, especially over the last 20 years that World of Warcraft existed. I mean, there was a point at its peak where they were making $1 billion easily every year
Oh
just
yeah.
off of Warcraft.
Oh yeah. No, they were
Every year.
killing it. Yeah, yeah.
And that my point is you don't screw with that. You don't mess that up if you're a company who's got their head on straight. So seeing a culling from Microsoft, which is what we all expected, by the way,
Sure.
this shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah.
Is actually a good thing. Hopefully, they can get some people in there who are competent to replace some of these jobs or whatever, or just use AI to do it. Most likely, because Blizzard has IPs that deserve better than they've been getting
Oh no,
for the last decade
that's
or so.
absolutely true.
Yep,
Diablo 4 came out, and and initially
it
it
was
was
a
hot
wet
because
fart.
ooh, look at this. And then
Yep,
of course immediately people realize this thing is just sit there to suck thousands of dollars out of you. And
yes,
just like Diablo Immortal, it's absolute bullshit. The whole game is built around that. Therefore, there is no fun game to have because it's
correct.
intended for you to pay money, not for you to enjoy a game. If you want that, if you like Diablo, go play Path of Exile
Yep,
because
that's
that's
the
the game.
spiritual successor to Diablo
They're
2, right there.
way better, way better. And the second
Well,
one's
you
coming
can
out and
also
looks
go
great.
play the I say they screwed up the Warcraft 3 Reforged, and they did, but then they released the Diablo 2 remake, and it's really good. So you can also
Yeah,
just go play that too.
yeah.
So
But hopefully Microsoft will be able to, because we know how Microsoft is, right? But
yep,
in general, I think Microsoft's main interest is money. And
I
I'm
think
on
so.
board
They
for
seem
that.
to be about
I'm
it.
good with that.
Seem to
But
be about the money.
the problem is Blizzard is about the money too, but it's about extortion, right?
Yes,
Hopefully, Microsoft will come in and say, "Hey, these are great IPs. Let's do something fun with them." We'll see. To be fair, sorry, Ben, Microsoft has a shit record with video games. Sorry,
largely,
Ben.
yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
Especially with especially what's funny is everything I just said about Warcraft also applies to Microsoft's Halo, and oh my god, have they shit all over that franchise in
Oh
the
my
last
God,
10
dude.
years?
But you want to go
Oh,
through a history of Microsoft involvement in video games. It's an ugly, dismal conversation, dude.
that's not good.
So
But I
who
will say
knows?
this: the last 3 years or so have been a
Have been
radical
better.
shift.
They have been better. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
they've been a lot better.
Um,
But like the fact that they released what was it, the Age of Empire? I think it was Age of Empires 2's remaster for free. They just gave it to you. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure it
that
was
was
that one.
cool. Yeah. But anyway, this is not the only example here. This, I think, is something Ben cries softly. You know it's true, Ben. I love you, buddy. But Microsoft has a bad record in that regard.
Yep.
Well, I think most of us agree that this is needs to be done if we're going to fix Blizzard at all. But it's
Yeah.
way, way bigger than Microsoft, dude.
Here it
How
comes.
many? Oh my God, dude. Go ahead.
News industry off to brutal. I like that. I like that. 2024 start as mass layoffs devastate publishers, raising questions about the future of journalism. Hey, Oliver, listen, you piece of shit. You're a piece of shit, Oliver Darcy.
Yeah, he
Uh,
is.
you need to go too. But
Yeah.
that aside, the future of
I
journalism is AI curated. That's what it is.
It is, but I chose CNN for a reason.
Uh
Look
oh.
how harsh a headline that is coming from CNN, the biggest shills in the industry, dude.
I love
Right?
it.
And it's
I do.
true. So many magazines, online magazines, newspapers, et cetera, are just either done or completely gutted, dude. It's
Yep.
insane because we've been seeing this coming little by little the past 3 years, right? We've seen things, collapsing. But the beginning of this year, companies are just simply folding. They're just folding, and
Yep.
it's all of it is woke shit, all of it.
Yep. It's being
Um,
pruned.
and
Like I said it would, by the way.
yeah, and I don't know if he goes into it. I picked the headline because it's CNN. And I was like, all right, a little bit of honesty from Oliver here. But because he is a shithead. If you don't know who this guy is, he's a dickhead,
Yeah,
right?
he's a scumbag. Yeah.
He is. But I mean, I don't know if they give a list, but you could find them on yourself as well. But there's so many, so many. It's not just the big names like Washington Post and NPR and Vice Media and stuff like that. There's so many little ones, like just ladies' magazines. They're just collapsing, dude. Absolute collapse. And of
Yep.
course, there's a reason for it.
Yeah. It's the age old principle that's actually much older than the modern phraseology of it,
Hmm.
but it's get woke, go broke.
Yep.
And it's actually happening in real time. People will say, "Oh, no, it's not." Okay, well then what is that? Explain. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Now, part of it, a
Yeah.
big part of it, in fairness, is the AI stuff. Absolutely. 100%,
Eh,
not going to say it's not.
yeah.
But they could absorb that and keep a lot of these people on if their articles were making them money. They're not. And they're not because no one's reading them. And no one's reading them because they're not interested in being told how bad they are because they were born with European descent. How
Okay.
dare you
Yeah.
not choose better parents, you racist?
Yeah. I know.
Uh,
I love this
People are
picture
sick of
though.
it.
I love this picture. It's got three protesters saying, "I want to keep my job," and a homeless guy, but his dog's walking through. Dude, love that picture.
He's like, "Can you get out of the fucking street? My dog's coming through, please.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
we're walking here. We're walking here.
We're walking here."
But yeah, no, it's absolute collapse, and I don't have any sympathy for them, because they've been part of this bullshit, right? And the
Yes.
thing, and I'll reiterate this, and I know you've said it, and all of us have said it. I don't care what you think or like. You can do whatever you want. Like with Disney,
Yeah,
if they want to turn Star Wars into the Force is female, go right ahead, dude. You could
I
do
ain't
it
watching
as
it.
your IP. You could do whatever you want. But don't tell me I'm bad. Don't try to force me to be involved with it. I have my
Yes.
own brain and my own choices. Thank you very much. You could do whatever you want, but you do your thing over there and you leave me the hell alone. That's the
Yep.
problem. This is the problem because they're constantly berating you, saying you are this evil thing, you are that evil thing. How dare you be white? That's just open
Yes.
racism. I mean,
You son of a
over and
bitch. How
over
dare
and
you?
over and over, right? It's just, dude, you can do whatever you want. Leave me out of it. I don't care if
Yep.
you're a transgender. Why would I care who you have sex with? Why would I
Don't care.
care?
Couldn't
Stop
care less.
telling me I have to accept it and be on board with it. Stop
Yep.
telling me what my I can do with my children. Stop telling me what I'm supposed to think. You stop it.
I
You do
agree.
what you want to do. You go right ahead. But you leave me the hell out of it. And I think the average person is thinking this. There are certain individuals who take it to another degree, and I guess this is what we would call the extreme right. Right? But
Mm.
the vast majority of us are like, dude, you do whatever the hell you want. Leave me out of it. That's the
Yeah.
attitude, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other problem, what I was alluding to when I said that this principle is pretty much as old as principles have ever existed. You can't, as Jesus said, you cannot serve two masters. And that is exactly the problem. These companies have been focused on the wrong shit. Most of it is untrue for too long, and now the reaper's coming. The whirlwind has been sown, and now they will reap the whirlwind. And this is what the whirlwind looks like. You get fired because the executives don't give a shit about you. They never did. They did what their analytics told them would be profitable. Most of them aren't zealots like you. That's how they became executives. The vast majority of them are just chasing a dollar. And now, not all of them. I don't think the top brass at Disney is definitely activists, but the rest. But that isn't the whole world, right?
No,
And
it's not true.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
they've convinced themselves that they are, when the reality is these people with these super far left identity politics nonsense are the vast super minority in the world. It's not even close. The only reason they have any carte blanche in society at all is the fact that they control the mechanism. They keep the gate, right? They're the ones that are at the gates, keeping the gates. The financiers and stuff are on board with them, like BlackRock and whatever, are on board with them for various reasons. We've seen this now, and this is actually kind of interesting. A lot of financial institutions, or I say a lot, some financial institutions have actually started backing Trump more heavily than Biden this election
Yeah.
because
Because we got to straighten the
they
ship, dude.
they've decided that this is just not tenable. We can't keep doing
Yeah.
this. And like I've said all along, this is a problem of affluenza. When times are real good, you can bitch about all sorts
Yeah.
of stuff and make money off of it. When the times is real good, when you're in a spring season, everything grows. We're in the winter now.
We
Actually, I'd
are.
say we're in the late fall. I don't even think
Yeah.
we're in the winter
Fall. I'd
yet.
say fall. Yeah. We're not in
Yeah,
winter yet. But yeah,
that
no,
don't
no.
work no more.
Like I saw this fighter, UFC fighter, the other day. Dana White basically stood up for him, his free speech. But I don't know who the
Yeah,
guy is. But he was basically saying,
On Strickland.
"Don't you have
yeah,
kids? If you have a kid and they turn out gay, aren't you disappointed?" Now,
yeah,
here's the thing. The vast majority of people, I'm not talking about extreme, shitheads. I'm talking about normal people. If your kid
yes,
turns out gay, you're going to support your kid because they're your kid. But you ain't going to
that's right.
tell me you're not disappointed because you
Correct,
are. You might not say it, but you are
correct,
disappointed because the whole point of having and raising that kid is for them to go on and have a family so mommy and daddy can be grandma and grandpa. It's part of the
that's right.
cycle of life. So,
It's part of that duty thing that I was
yeah,
talking about earlier. You have a
it's
duty to your
normal.
ancestors to if you don't want to have children yourself, that's one thing. I don't My wife doesn't want to have children. I'm fine with that. But you have a duty to the rest of your family to ensure that the next generation of your people, whether they're your bloodline or they're the people you've adopted as your tribe, have a better situation than what you have.
Right.
Because
But
you were left with a better situation, most likely, than what they had.
right.
And
Absolutely.
that is
Yeah.
why you have that duty to carry that forward. I
Right.
believe in that very, very deeply. And this is where the concepts of like ancestor worship and stuff have come from. I'm not saying we need to go back to that necessarily, but that's where
No,
that
no,
concept
that's the
came
root
from.
of it. Yeah, it's very easy to
Yeah,
understand those things. It's true.
yeah,
And the thing is, like I said, the vast majority, I think nearly all parents, if their kid come out as homosexual, they're going to support their kid.
yeah.
But of
I mean, they
course
might
they're
be they might be
disappointed.
a little perturbed by it, but they're
Of
still at the end
course
of the
they're
day, they're
disappointed.
still their kid.
They're
Like
still
I'm
going to
not going to
love
disown
them
you.
and take care of
Yeah,
them and be part of their life. Of course they are. But that doesn't mean they're not disappointed. Of course they're disappointed,
I'm
right?
going to tell you something about most, and especially I'm going to speak for the whites. My family, very Austrian, Swiss, right there in the middle. Then my mom's family, they're very well, they're just mutts. They're a little bit of everything from Europe and the Indian. Um, but the fact of the matter is, I had a grandmother. Actually, she was my great grandmother, who was one of the most racist people, openly racist people I'd ever met. She
Yeah.
would tell you right to your face she didn't want nothing to do with no Negroes, but she wouldn't use the word Negro,
Yeah, I'm sure.
except until my her grandson, right? her grandson, my uncle, married a woman who had a black daughter. Her name was Tanika. She unfortunately passed years ago, but that's another topic. At that moment, she was in the family. That's my kid. Didn't care that she
Right.
was
No,
half
that's
black.
true.
That was her
That
kid.
is true.
My
Yeah.
point
It's
is,
tribal.
even
It's
the
not.
most
Yeah.
vile, bigoted people, not always, of course, but they'll surprise you when that's their person that happens to be this X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
That's my person. I don't give a shit.
That's
They're
true.
in. You're
That
in.
is true.
You're in the tribe.
But you know what I mean. And
Yep.
for all of the outrage of him saying that he was disappointed. I suppose he said other things too. But of course you're going to be disappointed. That doesn't mean you
Yep.
hate your kid, right?
No, it means you're
Um,
disappointed that you're not going to probably have a genetic grandchild. How dare you, you
yeah,
monster? How dare
yeah,
you be a human
yeah.
fucking being, monster?
Monster. Well, I gotta wrap it up because it's coming. I gotta go to work, but of course, I also put up the box office mojo as I always do. Not a
Not
lot of
looking
money
good.
thrown around in the movie area. Not a lot of money.
It is. It is
I'm gonna
January.
be.
It's usually
It
not.
is January. That's true. February. That's true. But not looking good. Not looking good. And also, I kind of just brought up this. We got Despicable Me 4 trailer. Yeah, it's a fun little kid thing. He's got a baby now. That's nice. John David, who I do like as an actor, David Washington is going to replace Jonathan Majors as Kang, which I wish they'd just give that up.
Yeah.
Yay, live action female Iron Fist. Fuck off. Um,
Nobody cares.
no one cares. More action. Jason is the man right now. As old as he is, he's still the man. Aaron Moriarty responds to plastic surgery claims blast Megan Kelly. Baby, you fucked your face up. You did.
Oh, makeup. No, she
Um,
didn't. No, she looks like a totally different human being.
No, no. You busted up your face for no reason. You were a cute girl. You did it because of the
Oh
Hollywood
no.
infection, the brain infection. You screwed up your face. And it's
Oh
a freaking
no no
tragedy. You were a
no.
cute little girl next door thing going on, and you screwed it up. So just shut up, shut up.
um,
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
so you mentioned the MCU. Are you ever going to come to the conclusion that you was wrong about Kevin Feige?
fuck
That the
you.
nigga should have been fired?
Yes, you're right. I was wrong. I just had.
Oh,
I was.
you'll tell
I'm
him.
a.
You'll
I'm
tell
an
him.
optimist. You pessimist sons of bitches. All right. Anyway,
Well, he should be the final nail in the coffin for that.
no, you're
Yeah.
right.
I don't know
You're
if
right.
I don't know if you saw. There was an article in Variety where it came out that She-Hulk isn't getting a season 2, which is a
No.
no shit if there ever was a no shit. But the fact that they spent 3 years and $225 million to piss off the fans intentionally, and Kevin Feige was not only aware of it, but he approved it, and the nigga still has a job.
No, you're right.
I don't know why.
I already said you're right.
That should have been it.
Shut up. Um,
No, I want no. Because you said you fought it tooth and nail about how
well,
he should
because
get the benefit
he
of the
did
doubt.
such a good job for a decade.
No, he got
Well,
credit. He got credit.
that's
Fair
true.
He
enough.
didn't do it.
Fair
The
enough.
reality of it is, the man who doesn't get enough credit for it, the man who actually directed the first proper
John
MCU
Favreau.
movie,
Yeah.
is Jon Favreau. And for some reason, he never gets the credit for launching the ship. I don't know why, but
And keep in mind, he's
he's
a
the one who
liberal
launched it.
too. He's just not a crazy
Yeah,
one.
he's a fucking libtard as well. But
He
he's not
is.
like
He's not
there's
nice.
levels to tardation, and
Different.
he's not all the way.
Yeah.
He's not all the way down yet. Give
Well,
him time. Maybe he'll get there. But
they're rewriting Fantastic Four, which again, all right.
again, yeah,
Sounds like Supergirl, which we just talked about the other day, isn't happening at all because
that's good.
actually getting the actresses to come in to read for it, they don't want nothing to do with it because of the DC Comics curse. That's a thing. Don't
Yep,
care about Doom whatsoever. It was boring as shit. Will Arnett, you're still alive? Okay.
he is.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, I have no whatever. Don't care. Monkey Man trailer. Okay, racists. Um, Master Universe Revolution. No, no one cares, Kevin. We're
And
done,
it doesn't
Kevin.
matter if he learned his lesson. It's
It
a
doesn't
red
matter.
herring,
We're
bro. He's
done.
smoke
We're
screening
done,
you.
Kevin. You
Even
did.
let's say he did learn his lesson, which he didn't. Here's what he's doing. He's drawing you back in so he can crush you again. That's all he's
Yeah,
doing.
no, don't
You're
don't
gonna
fall
don't
for it.
fall for it.
Don't fall for it. Yeah, don't fall for it. Yeah. It's done. It's absolutely done. So disrespectful.
Yep.
Thunderbolts. Now Lewis Pullman up to play the Sentry. Oh, he's back to white again. How nice that is. But they're going to screw up the Thunderbolts. They
That's who
did.
should play the Sentry right there, right under him.
Yeah,
Holy shit, that'd be a good casting.
that would be. Yeah. And of course, his thing is killing it. Reacher, go watch if you haven't. Uh, don't care about Deadpool 3. They have completely gutted it. Ryan Reynolds is pissed. He's no
Yeah.
longer working for Marvel. He's so pissed. So yeah, we've seen, and this is older news. But yeah, same shit, different week. This is the dumbest one though. I mean, come on, girl, come on. What are you telling
Like,
us?
go down.
Make
Do they
up.
got a picture? Let's see. Okay, that's her as she
Fresh
started.
face, cute. Yeah.
Yeah. What we got?
No,
That's
Megan.
making. No,
Megan
they
called her
don't.
out for it.
Oh, they're
But we
covering for.
But we saw it. We saw it, right?
Yeah.
She absolutely murdered her face, and actually, in this case, the makeup is making it less bad, right?
I'll
That's right.
put
She ruined her
somebody.
face for no
Somebody said it.
reason. Cute
Somebody
little
said it
girl.
best.
What?
Somebody actually on Twitter said it best. If you're gonna make the argument that it's makeup, all you gotta do is one video take without the makeup. Prove
Yep.
us wrong.
Get the makeup off.
Real easy. This
Yeah,
is easy to
30,
prove.
30 second, 30-second video. That's
we
it.
saw what you did. We saw what you did, and it's
It's a
that
shame.
stupid ass Hollywood freaking diet shit. And it
Yep.
ruins people. It ruins it, and it's a shame because you were a cute girl. I mean, you're not the most beautiful, stunning goddess of all time. No, you're just right. You're the cute girl next door. Exactly
Yep.
what people want. Because the thing
If
is,
you were sane, you'd be wife material
you
because you're
would
right.
be. Yeah,
You're right there at the limit. You know,
have
you're
to
not
be.
ugly. You're not gorgeous.
No, you're just
You're
right.
just right.
It's right, just right.
Yep.
And that's the thing that I think a lot of these Hollywood ladies miss is the average person will sit and look at a gorgeous person. They're super
Yep.
rare, but we do see them. And we'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's a pretty person." Right?
Yeah.
But they don't pursue them
No.
because it's
No.
out of your reach, you assume, right? Now,
Yes.
one of the
It's like
reasons
looking at a
I always had
star.
well, yeah, but one of the reasons I always had success is because I didn't think that way. And I found that
Yeah.
a lot of the pretty girls actually
Well,
never get asked out. I was like,
yeah,
"Ooh,
you're a
what's
narcissist. It's
this?"
fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, but I'm just saying that this kind of pretty girl, this is the girl guys hound over,
Yeah. Yeah.
big
Her
time,
inbox is always full. We'll put it that
right?
way. There's not a moment where she doesn't have somebody trying to get
This
with her.
alien ghost freaking anorexic face is not.
Yeah, she was already thin as hell, and then by the second season, she had lost at least 10 pounds minimum.
Yeah, no, they do. It
So
happens
she's
all the
walking around
time, dude.
skeleton.
And this
Yeah.
is nothing new. Uma Thurman, perfect example.
Yeah.
Is she attractive?
I don't know about now, but there was a time.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing is, when was that time? Was when she was unknown. If you go look at Uma Thurman if you go look at her in the Adventures of Baron Munchausen, she's an absolute stunner, a stunner. And then the next movie she came out was Cats and Dogs, and she looked frail and ugly as hell. Why? Because she went on the frickin' Hollywood diet, right?
Yes.
Where she had a little bit of weight to her, she looked great. And it's just like unbelievable. Here, let's see if I can find anything. Most of this looks old, to be honest with you. These are
Those are
actually,
old
yeah,
pictures.
these are cute. The cute thing.
Google's up to their fuckery again. Um,
Yeah, this is all the old
because I
stuff.
just seen one. I just seen one the other day on Twitter of a picture of her. I think it was posted by her, in fact,
Mhm.
and she looks completely different than these
Yeah,
pictures.
no.
So there's
I
no
mean,
way.
because she's that perfect level of cute that guys just absolutely hound off of. She's the Kitty Pride effect,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's the Kitty Pride effect, right? This one shows what she did to her nose. Here's another one. It's like, oh man. And that's one Megan's going off about. But
Yep.
yeah, you definitely tore up your face, girl. You tore up your face.
There it is, right there. There's
Right
the one.
there. There's another one. It's just this
Yeah.
mask, this human mask. And it's and they're right next to each other too. What a freaking shame. Such a cute kid. And just
Yeah.
oh look, here's the another one. It's like Jesus, this
Like
is
that is not
worse.
makeup.
This is
That is
worse,
not
dude. What the
makeup.
so she's getting
Oh,
worse.
Yeah.
It's just a shame, dude. And you're right, Google's up to their bullshit because just putting her in, these are all old pictures where she's. I mean, look at that one, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn,
She was a little cutie.
she was a little
Little
cutie, dude.
cutie.
Um,
Would not kick her out of bed for eating crackers.
mm-mm,
Now I would. I don't even want her in my bed. Get
yeah,
the hell out with that alien looking face. Get out of here.
yeah. But I mean, whatever. And once again, she could do whatever she wanted to. But you
Yeah,
know,
it's her face.
yeah, but
Brutalize
Megan
yourself if you
Kelly,
like.
I didn't see the article, but I kind of know Megan Kelly, and she's probably speaking from the point of view of mom because that's what Megan does all the time, right? So she was probably, as a
Megan Kelly.
mom,
Oof.
upset with her. Oh yeah, that's a wow. Let's not get into that
Oh my
conversation.
god.
But she was upset with her for destroying her beautiful face. And that's probably what Megan
Yeah.
was on. It was coming at it from a mom point of view because that's what Megan does, right? She's a mom.
She looks like
She's
she could be.
just
She could have been her
stunning
mom.
mom.
I could believe that.
Yeah, right. She's a stunning mom, but she's a mom.
Yeah.
And yeah, Megan Kelly has always been a knockout. And here's another example. I haven't noticed Megan putting any plastic surgery on her.
I don't think so. No,
No,
and
and
she
she's
doesn't need
older.
to.
She doesn't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll get older and older, and it's okay. That's the one thing that these that I don't understand with these ladies. You do realize getting old, it's okay. We all
It's
do
all
it.
right. It's not a death sentence. Well,
No,
it
it's
is,
not.
but it's not right now.
Well, you know
That's
what I mean. It's
right away.
okay. You can be old. It's not a bad
Yeah.
thing, right?
Age gracefully. So remember, I've told you about the guy who I watch sometimes on Twitch or on YouTube. He's the guy who does the woodblock, Japanese woodblocks. He's a
U-
73 or 4 year
It's
old
called
white man.
ukiyo-e.
Yeah. Yep. And he's got more energy than most 30-year-olds I see.
Oh, dude.
And
The
he's
old,
not out here complaining that he's 70 or whatever. He's just getting it done. Like
yeah,
he's just
no,
moving.
no. The old
Yeah.
men here, and I imagine in America too, a lot of them would shock you. They
Yep.
outwork you in a heartbeat, dude.
Yeah, he's crazy. He
You
worked
know
all the
how many,
time.
yeah, and I mean, how many times here in Japan working with old dudes that I've had to just hold my breath, put my head down, and not let them see me sweat, right? Seriously,
It's that testosterone level,
dude,
man.
I
I'm
got,
telling you, they
yeah,
screwed us up.
they did because I have way too much pride to let an old man see me sweat. I just can't
Hmm.
allow it, right? But it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, right? You
Yeah,
just have to suck it up, man. But yeah, the old dude's here, dude, and it's like, oh, this girl, what a shame. Why did you do that? The Hollywood disease, dude. It's freaking Hollywood
it
disease.
destroys these girls, man.
It
It
does,
just
man.
destroys them.
Anyway, I'm going to be late, so I got to go. So,
Chester, you
Grimlock,
gotta be late. You better go.
I
Holy
should go.
crap!
Grimlock,
Gee,
closing comments, please.
Got none. Enjoy your night, people. Have a wonderful weekend.
Short and sweet. Namaste,
short
my
and
ass.
sweet. Not well.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do absolutely anything to your ass, Chester. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I got a
But I'll
fine
give you your
ass.
favorite one. I will give
Round.
you your favorite one. Listen, your wife will be the judge of that.
Well, she does judge it often.
I will give you your favorite one. The master is not the one who completes his training. The master is the one who never stops.
Namaste.